Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to the Golden Age. My name is Slayheim, your host, and today I'm joined by the Annoying Llama. Annoying Llama is one of those creators that has just such amazing energy, passion, and devotion to anything that he does. And he has been laser focused on a classically inspired indie MMORPG called Embers Adrift. He is the content creator for this game. Super awesome guy. Really excited about the future of the genre. And I'm so glad I got a chance to sit down and talk with him. So let's welcome the Annoying Llama.
Adventure.
Especially with the fucking sloth bears. Oh god. Oh no!
Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, I'm dead.
Hold on.
I did it too.
I told y'all.
Oh. Oh my god! I wish I was streaming that. It was
Someone
like
clip that.
3 bodies just popped out.
Yo, can someone clip that?
Shit, I healed up my bad.
Oh shit. Oh my god, I can't believe we actually fucking did that.
Okay, good.
Sounds
I
good.
switched to
Looks
more
good.
of a focused one, so it should be more leaned in and more boomy on the voice. Cause I'm trying to lock it in. Like you said with the Blue Yetis, they get a little crazy sometimes. But yeah, no. So I'm glad everything's sounding good. All right, let's do this. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. So for people that don't know you yet, who are you? And how did you get into kind of MMOs? Where does the name Annoying Llama come from? I'm very interested. Like, what's your kind of origin story there?
So there's a couple origin stories I can kind of go into, but let's start with the one. Before we go any further, thank you for having me on here, Slayheim. I really do appreciate
Absolutely.
that. But let's start with hello guys, my name is Annoying Llama. I am a content creator on Twitch, it's also YouTube, and I mostly focus on usually MMO style content, maybe play some games here and there, but mostly MMO style content. For the channel. But the origin story, I would say, let's say for the Annoying Llama side, was I done YouTube since I was 13. I'm 27 now, to give you guys a little bit of a anchor in. And I really enjoyed. I wanted to do content creation, so I started doing it. My original game was a little cringy. My original name was a little cringy. It was a Games for You All. Very
Interesting.
cringy name, but yeah, but I wanted to make a name that was more that appreciated like who I am as a person, and something that I feel like I didn't have to separate myself as as a content creator to the name. So I essentially found Annoying Llama in a sense of especially back in the day when I made it, I was like 15. I was annoying and I love llamas. I was like, it works. After an hour searching on YouTube to see if anybody had the same name as me, I just stuck with the name, and ever since then, history has been made from there.
Man, that's awesome. That's very
Yeah.
exciting. Can I just say it's a name? It's kind of interesting. It's impactful and it's very memorable. And oftentimes, there's so many people that I'll go through, I'll see a streamer or something, I'll try to come back later or like a YouTube video, and then I'm like, man, like who was that person again? And I can't forget the name. I can't remember the name. So it's a very good and memorable name.
Oh, thank you. And but when it comes to the one, also thank you for that too. When it comes to the origin story of my MMO side of things, now that one goes a little bit deeper. I do ramble a lot, so I do apologize. Definitely stop me when I ramble too much.
This is great.
Perfect. So let's start it goes way back. So my very first encounter, I should say, with MMOs, and kind of give some context, I was raised in a gaming family, so everybody played games except my mom. My mom, part watching, she was the type of mom that would be like, pause that game, but we can't pause the game because it's an MMO. So we just shout out to her, we can't pause it. But
Yeah.
but I was raised in, just in that gaming lifestyle. So my very first encounter with MMOs was EverQuest Online Adventures for the PS2.
Oh,
My dad played that. Now we used to watch him play lots of video games and stuff. Like that was my first encounter with it. And my dad, he was the type of guys who would just talk about the games like rambles, where I get my rambling from. But my dad, he was the type of person who sit there like, this is the game that was made by. And that's actually the first introduction that of the name Brad McQuaid that I got in my head, because my
wow.
dad was talking about Brad McQuaid. Like, this guy is amazing. Look at this way he brought this game. This game was originally made in 1999, and he would just go on and on. And you know, since then, I just was like, fascinated with this idea that you could play with people from around the world. And so that after experiencing that, my dad playing these games and stuff like that, later on, World of War, I don't know if EverQuest Online Adventures came out before or after. I don't know the history of when it came out.
I think it might have came out a
uh,
little bit after EverQuest. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
Because I remember it was in 2006, because I know WoW came out in 2004, but 2006 is when my dad started playing World of Warcraft, and now that's the day I freaking remember too, because it is, again, MMOs have been a core part of my life. So but
2003. Yeah, it
oh,
came out.
2003.
Yeah, early 2003, February. Very interesting.
I was 4.
I
So no,
love
I
the
was
box
still
art.
3. Dude, I see Primus MMO playing it a lot, and so I just
Isn't
been.
time just such a blur, you know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's insane to think about that. I'm like, oh, we're getting there. We're getting there. But the core memory, I do apologize. The core memory with my father when it comes to World of Warcraft was, he has a subwoofer for his PC setup. He has a little subwoofer on the bottom, and he used to have a duplex, so he'd be in the basement, always playing his games and stuff like that. And I will always know when he's booting up a new game, because they always have the drums rumbling and stuff like that. Like Command and Conquer was his favorite. He played like mostly like played a lot of strategy games too, but when they would boot up these games and stuff like that, they would have like a lot of rumble, kind of set up this epicness. Warhammer was another one. And what
Yeah.
happened was, I was upstairs. We were all upstairs with the main family. We were watching Ghost Hunters on the TV, and I just remember hearing the subwoofer go off and the drums rumbling, because the beginning of the World of Warcraft cinematic. And I remember just running down there and just like, oh, my dad's got a new game. And I asked my mom, I was like, hey, can I go watch dad? And she's like, yeah, go right ahead. So I ran downstairs, and the first thing I remember seeing was like the Azeroth, the showing off Azeroth, and then it showed the dwarf with the bear, and then the music
Yeah.
starting, and then of course one thing that really got me in was like the night elf turning to the cat, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you can play cats in this game. That's so cool. Like you can turn into a cat. And it was after watching that trailer, my dad like did that thing where the login screen popped up, turned slowly to me, and he said, "Now, son, this is called World of Warcraft." And I just was like, whoa. And I sat there for hours watching my dad play he had a first character. I forgot actually the name of the character, but he played his first character, was a human, a warrior, and just kind of just ran with it. And I just remember watching him constantly play. And then he started manning a hunter named Crunk. And just from there, it was just history from there. I watched my dad a lot, learned how to play WoW through watching him, started playing WoW since I was 7. And well, during a LAN party actually, but mainly got into grinding in a lot with my dad's characters during Wrath of the Lich King. My brother and sister and I used to just grind my dad's characters out all day, like just grinding out valor and honor for him. So that's how I learned how to like play MMOs and get like used to talking to people. And
Wow.
it's just been
Yeah.
ever since that moment, I was just locked in for MMOs. And I guess history can say the rest. I mean, just I've been playing WoW since then, and going forward, trying out other MMOs. So it's been crazy, man.
Man, that's amazing. From such an early age, just having like it's totally the opposite for me. My family is
Oh,
just
wow.
not into gaming at all. That not into like computers or anything. So I was the only gamer in my family, really. So it was interesting. And I started obviously a little bit earlier with EverQuest, but I played World of Warcraft too. It was a magical time. That's really awesome.
Mhm.
7 years old. Wow. And then since then you've played like pretty much everything that's come out. I know there's been a lot of MMOs.
Mhm.
so you have like a very
yeah, sorry, my bad.
broad so kind of experience with a bunch of the MMOs that came after, right?
Oh yeah, core ones.
Yeah.
I remember playing the beta for Rift. I remember playing. I remember playing the beta for Star Wars: The Old Republic. My dad was like big into betas and stuff like that. Like, it was like kind of core into that. The one beta I think I had the most fun with though was Star Trek Online. I remember my dad played the beta for that one. That was a pretty fun one. And then he like really like hardcore in that game for a bit too. And just but. Yeah, no, I just been playing like just anything I can get my hands on. And as I got older, I started kind of reaching out a little bit more. And then I discovered old school MMOs.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, shout out to your dad for getting you started on this journey. You know, and then so like what keeps you in this space now, especially when MMOs can be kind of like a brutal genre. You know, some would argue that, you know, the genre is kind of dying. And do you think we're kind of in like a revival or kind of golden age, as I like to call it, with these indie MMOs? Because for me, that's, you know, that's just really fun things that are kind of coming back, you know, challenge and community atmosphere, that kind of thing. We see that with a lot of stuff, you know, Embers Adrift, we'll get into that, but like, you know, Pantheon, Monsters and Memories, whatever. It just seems like MMOs now are just, I don't know, I'm chasing for that kind of lost feeling, you know. So what keeps you kind of in the space still? Because, you know, you're a young guy. You can play anything you want to. There's always stuff coming out, but why these games specifically?
So, I feel like I'm going through so much backstory here, and that's not a bad thing, by the way. That's a good thing, because I'm like, man, I got lore in the memory. And to answer that question, it takes a story. So, specifically, it's raiding. I was someone who was fascinated with raiding. Again, since World of Warcraft, but my big fascination came in through raiding was watching EverQuest raid videos. I fell in love with the old school genre because my stories my dad used to always tell, but specifically, it was, and I still remember my very first video. I think I mentioned this on stream actually a couple of times, but my very first like EQ raid video I watched was a video from Zaid. I guess his guild from a long time ago. He was, you know, killing this big giant. Now, I don't know anything about EQ, by the way, for anybody who's listening to this. My knowledge of EQ is limited. I know a decent amount of the lore, but at the time, especially, I was just watching people kill this big old giant dude, but seeing like 50 plus players just taking this on, and it's like, I didn't know anything about mechanics. I didn't know like if this boss had like, you know, something crazy about it. I just seeing all these people gathered around and seeing them like kill these bosses. And then I used to watch like these like the history kind of videos people used to talk about, specifically like the sleeper that one dragon who was like the sleeper, and they almost killed it and then the death took it away. And like, it was just those stories. Like, I was like, whoa, this looks awesome. And I was like 12 years old when I discovered that stuff. So that was what kind of really like got me in. And to answer your question of, is this are we in a golden age kind of with the whole indie genre? I would 100% agree with that. I would say yes. And that specifically, as someone who is my age, as you said, also, like, there's so many games I can play. I could be playing, you know, Retail WoW. I could be playing, you know, like Blade and Soul, which that one's coming back. I don't know if the game's still back now, but Blade and Soul, Black Desert Online. I could be playing all these like fast-paced, instant loot, boom, 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 Korean MMOs and stuff like that, which I did play a lot of those. But like you said, you still think that there's nothing of that drive that sends me more than these old school titles. Pantheon, for a prime example, when I got into Pantheon was through Co's streams with them, and they were just when Brad used to talk about like, oh yeah, we want to do this with grouping, and we want to make this hardcore, we want to make this like you had to really think about the encounters and stuff like that. It's just like,
those streams were awesome. Yeah.
It was amazing, and also that was like what, back 2017. Well, when I started watching him, 2017, and so I just was like, whoa, this game looks awesome. Like I was thinking about the classes I want to play, which is why I fell in love with the idea of a monk. Started watching a lot more like old school EQ videos, and just like the fact that I got excited for that and like stuck onto it. I think that's what got me to realize like what people are cooking here this vision that they're really one of the, like you said, like the magic you want to bring back for this the old school MMO-esque genre, um is something that needs to be, and I'm just saying this for myself, that needs to be brought back. And it needs to be, of course, revision. There needs to be a revision with it. This needs to be heavily like changed in the sense of like making it modern, but still keeping that magic. But it needs to be brought back, especially with the current like microtransactions.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not. I feel like I'm saying big words here, but like in a sense of like the key words here. But microtransactions is the whole idea of this quick thinking MMOs. Like when I talk about old school MMOs in general, specifically Embers Adrift, but like just any other game, especially with my younger friends and stuff like that are like in their 20s, just hitting like 20 through like let's say 20 to 25. They or immediately are like, it's not my kind of game. This is, how fast can I level, and what can I do with this? And I'm just like, it's all about the journey. Like you just play the game, like you just enjoy yourself, like explore the world. And they're not used to that, and I don't blame them. I'm not saying like, oh, they're terrible people, but they're not used to that,
Yeah.
and I just feel like it's just been lost. So yeah, I think 100% with the indie game genre of people trying to bring this idea back that hey, sometimes MMOs can force you to be in groups, but that's okay. And that's it's okay if you die. It's okay if you mess up in a party in a group. It's okay to think about encounters. It's okay to explore the world and not just think about what's in the end game. Like it's I think that's something that's 100% needed in the gaming space right now. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very beautiful. And yeah, you're absolutely right. There has to be some way, and it's very challenging to kind of take some of those old ideas and just kind of implement them in a newer kind of way, because yeah, like I feel like MMOs are kind of dying, like you said, with all the microtransactions and all this stuff, and even games now almost like they're pulling the plug on MMOs, like it happened with New World and then some of these others. So games now are labeled almost like MMO light. It's kind of like, it's almost like an RPG, but it's about you, but there's kind of mechanics that are social but not really, and then it's it doesn't feel alive to me, whereas like I feel like these older games kind of where it's more about the world than just you, the player, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And like we kind of share this space together. Do you like what makes an MMO feel alive to you whenever you play these games?
100% the community. Like that's gotta answer that such like in a corporate way. Sorry,
No, that's great.
It's self-analyzing for some reason, but it's 100% the community. And compared to any game I have played, it's always more fun when you can hop on, even just not even just a raid. It's not even just a raid or just to do anything, but just hop on. Hey, what's up? I recognize this name in chat. Oh, hey, what's up, man? How you doing today? And like, people are willing to hop in Discord calls. People are willing to talk to each other. I love that. That's the community. I think is always the number one thing when it comes to what brings the magic of these MMOs. That's one aspect of the magic of the MMOs.
Yeah, beautiful. And so I just want to. I was just thinking about this while you were talking. It's I feel like if people give themselves a chance to be immersed, the experience can be so much better. But we're now, we all have like 2-3 monitors, and we're always like kind of doing something and TikTok and whatever. But I think if you just like take the time to just kind of focus, get yourself immersed, and that's kind of what I did with Embers Adrift there, the intro. I really liked it quite a bit. But yeah, to segue into that, like how did you how did you get into Embers Adrift? Like how did that kind of get on your radar? Were you following it for a while? I know there's some things, and I'm not you're like the authority on Embers Adrift, so forgive me, but it seems like they had like they do have like a very ambitious kind of idea. They were doing it, they hit the ground running, they were getting a lot of traction, but I think something happened with like their payment system and whatnot, and then for some reason, they're kind of like have a very low player base now because of some of that stuff. I don't know, maybe you can get into that some, but how did you find out about Embers Adrift, and what's that kind of look like for you there?
Well, so I did actually, believe it or not, Static Group Live. Static Group Live was actually, well, at the time they were called Pantheon Plus, but Static Group Live now, they were
Shout out to those guys. Those guys are
Oh,
awesome.
yeah, they're god tier, dude. I love Static Group Live. They are amazing people. Shout out to Drac, shout out to Derek, shout out to Squad, and Minus. And so, but just everybody that's part of Static Group Live. Also Nathan Napalm. That's another guy who also got me because I used to watch a lot of his Pantheon videos.
Yeah.
And so that was one of my, when he started playing Embers Adrift, that was like my big introduction to it also, but mainly specifically Static Group Live. They played it a lot. I watched their series. I was like, I was very much curious of Embers Adrift. When I started doing a little bit more research to it at the time, Lazy Peon made a video about it. And it was like very much that game. I was like, okay, it's not piquing my interest. Believe it or not, just like how anybody else now is, they're like, it's no magic in the game. Like, there's like no caster class. So like me, I was like, you know what? I can see what they're kind of going with this. It's kind of like, low fantasy. It was actually, believe it or not, Embers Adrift was actually my first introduction to the idea of low fantasy. I'm so used to just being immersed into low fantasy. Into high fantasy. So when seeing this, it just confused me. I was like, what the heck is that? Like, what are they going with this? And it was interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So
my brain.
They're specifically going for like a low fantasy vibe. Is that
yes?
What does that entail? Like,
so low fantasy, from what I've understand, especially now playing the game a lot, is that they're not like, there's no like orcs, there's no like trolls, there's no like big old magic spells being thrown at everybody, no fireball cast and just chuck it into someone's face. Like, it's very much, it's very much grounded, and it's the series that a lot of people actually use to describe low fantasy would be like Lord of the Rings. Like, there's magic involved, like there is magic in the world, but you don't see Gandalf like casting fireball spells like left and right. It's very much limited use of magic, or it's shown, but it feels more fantastical in those small bits. And it would, like, I think Embers Adrift 100%, they are going into what I would call mid fantasy actually now, with the recent updates kind of bringing more of the magic out, making this more thing. And I'll get to that later on too when we talk about deep into Embers Adrift. But yeah, no, that was when it comes to this low fantasy aspect, it's just limited use of magic, and specifically with the lore, it's discovering the magic I love that. Embers Adrift. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I don't believe I've ever heard that description before. That's very interesting. It makes sense, yeah. And I like that too. I like it when things are kind of subtle, I suppose, where it's not just like huge explosions and stuff right off the bat, and like it kind of does pull me out of it. So I appreciate the subtlety there, and so what was your kind of honest kind of first impression of the game whenever you first played it, you first stepped into the world?
So, I had a feeling this question was going to be asked because I almost forgot that feeling, actually, believe it or not. And luckily I have my original stream uploaded of when I first hopped into Embers Adrift. Now, my first impression when looking at the game 100% was like, okay, it's definitely not for me. Like, this, I don't know what they're doing. But when I started seeing more people play it, and like you said, like, the grouping and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I gotta hop in. I want to try this out. Specifically, also around that time, Pantheon was kind of going through a little bit of a oof, because I'm like diehard into Pantheon at the time. And I was like very much like, okay, I need to play something to kind of like get that feeling. And so when they were playing Embers Adrift, I hopped into the game, and for some reason, I think it was just, I made my Warlord, I got in, and I was like, oh, like, I'm liking this. Like, there's just something about the world that just really kind of drew me in, and I would say, we're saying this, the indiness of it, the indiness charm, where it was like, this is a small team, they put the game together, and I already know that story at the time, and so I was like, okay, let me just get on. I'm not expecting like anything too crazy, but it was something that as I played it, I was like, this is actually really fun. Like I like this basic kind of play style. I like this. I don't feel like I have to move around the map and stuff like that. And there was nothing telling me what quest to choose. I actually had to ask in world chat, hey, what do I do? Like what do I go? And then and if I remember correctly, I got into a group with a guy. And this is actually the kind of one that kind of like locked me in. Had to do this quest where I had to go find this monolith. I found the monolith, and this guy came up and was like, killing stuff. And I was like, hey, do you want to help me kill these things? Like, these are getting kind of hard. And he's like, yeah, let's go. Let's join the group. And then another person came up, and then they joined a group with me. And then another person came up, and they joined a group with me. And eventually, we started leveling up a little bit around there to the point where we're like, hey, he's like, do you know there's a dungeon in front of us? I was like, there's a dungeon in front of us? It's like, I'm expecting World of Warcraft where it had like the big old swirly thing to indicate there's a dungeon there. But it's like, no, if you go into that little back section, there's a little thing back there, and it's just a dungeon. I'm like, let's do it. Let's do this dungeon real quick. Let's go. And so we died, but but it was fun. It was like that again, that sense of community, that sense of just like
Yeah.
people stumbling upon stuff. Like if the game's not telling you where to go, you actually have to explore it. And I think that's what really sucked me in, and the
Yeah.
idea of immersion.
Man,
So yeah.
I love that. I gotta say, that's where the magic is for me too. The best thing to do is just kind of go in, not know anything, and have like groups kind of forming organically, and just by chance you kind of discover stuff. It's really beautiful. And that's kind of the first impression that I got too. So I played the game for, it was about like 4 or 5 hours with my buddy Kazrax. I spawned into the world. There's like that little path, and there's like that NPC there that says, it just kind of introduces you to the world, but you could already kind of see this like vast like plain region or whatever it is, and there's already like stuff in the distance, and it's very interesting. There's like that tower on the left hand side, and they do a really good job with the skybox as well. Just kind of just throwing my first impressions out there as well. Like there's that big blue moon thing or whatever, and then there was that big hill, and then like right to the right of that there was like a bandit encampment. And Kazrax and I were like, let's level up. I think we got to like level 5. We were just grinding. We were getting some gear off the bandits. There was a name that we figured out how to get, and it was actually a pretty cool experience.
Nice.
From the first time I played it. So that's awesome. Yeah, and so. Now, how about like at high level? What do you think Embers Adrift is trying to do that makes it different from kind of most modern MMOs? Is there anything unique there that, I mean, you've played a lot of games. Does Embers Adrift kind of do anything unique that you haven't seen anywhere else?
Oh, 100%. I can go all day with this, but also I'll do my best to try to like cram it down.
No, this is
So I
great.
don't bore you with like lists of things. But one of the biggest things I think Embers Adrift does, besides the no hold handing, they really lock it in. For some reason, it's the positional system. Now, a lot of games have a positional system, but Embers Adrift really emphasizes on that positional system, where it's showing to you with the with the little arrow that's underneath the enemy's like little HUD, but it's like when you're in a group, if you're tanking, you really have to like think about the weapon that you have to choose. Okay, this weapon has a specific positional. Let me use this. Okay, and then as a DPS, okay, I have to go behind as a healer, or you have to. It's just positioning like your heals. You have to stand here. You have to be here. It just feels, and it sounds so simple. Like, okay, yeah, we do that all the time at MMOs, but the way Embers Adrift's combat works, it just
engages
works
you
perfectly. Oh, 100%
Yeah.
engaged you. Oh God, yes. Even when I play like some low level alts with some new players, like I still feel engaged to be like, okay, this person's gonna die. Okay, let's stand here so I can at least get healed. This guy, and this guy. And okay, this guy is moving a lot, so let's take into mind this guy likes to move a lot. All right, well, I like to stand. I'm gonna stand here, so every time he rolls around, because there are people like that who like to run around and stuff like that. I'll move around a lot in combat. You want to just be taking that into mind. It's just a lot of things that you take into mind when you're fighting in general. Another thing that Embers Adrift does is its magic system. So the magic's bizarre in the game.
Yeah.
It's called alchemy. I think this is the biggest thing that really separates a lot of MMOs, where their introduction to magic into the game is very minimal, but in the sense of you're to kind of get some extra lore bits in there, you essentially find this Ember Stone in this ant EV, and you're gonna see like this big old like spike thing that has lightning coming out of it, and you see these little ants around it, and you're like, what the heck is that? And you go into it, because there's actually two versions. It's a spike version, and there's like a outer spike version. Has a little dip inside it. When you go into that little dip, it's a mini dungeon, and you're like, wait, what? Whoa! Like, and the thing is that if you're walking, and I love when they did this. When they made it into a new player experience, they brought it into the beginning zone. And I new players I've seen who love this idea where the dungeon moves. It has depending where you are in each depending zone and like depending which EV it is, it has like spots it moves to at certain times. So one, the dungeon moves. So you'll discover it when you discover it basically. And two, when you go inside there, the game doesn't tell you what you can go inside there until you go into the city. Like there's a guy you can get the quest from to be like, hey, you can I need you to go find this thing out there. You've probably seen it. It's a big old spiky thing. Yeah, you can go inside there, by the way. There's a dungeon. It's called the Ember Vein. And
Oh.
so or you can go into you can discover it by accident, go inside and you're like, wait, whoa, this is a dungeon. And then as you go a little bit forward, before it splits off into a group section or a solo section, there's a little bag on the floor, and it kind of gives you kind of a rundown of what you're kind of getting into. So you're getting two different experiences. Like, okay, I found these notes. This guy has an Ember Stone in here. I need to essentially get the materials, then return to the guy, and then you unlock your magic. Or you go to the guy first, he tells you what to do and kind of gives you more information on what to do, and then you go into the Ember Vein and get your magic and stuff like that. But as you get alchemy, you get only a maximum amount of charges, and so as you, let's say, like 20 charges to start off with. And when you use an ability, you can infuse it with the ember, and it becomes an alchemy 1 ability, and so that it does basically just extra effects. And of course, if you use that up 200 times, it becomes alchemy 2. And
Oh,
so the
interesting.
alchemy 2 is the maximum, like you essentially mastered that ability. Now, if you use alchemy 2, it costs more,
Mhm.
but it does really good effects. It does like group wide stuff. It does everybody gets taunted, and also it basically just like does like really, and the effects on it really like show it's being empowered, like the difference between Alk 1 and Alk 2. So it just gets that visual feel for it.
Yeah. Wow.
But gameplay wise, it's god tier, dude. It's god tier. And a lot of people are, who want a caster class is like the closest thing you can get, where you're just infusing it into your abilities, but you see the visualization of, and they really did have a working on this, the visualization of just like showing, hey, I'm casting a spell using this already ability that I have, and it just brings it out. It just really shows like there's so much more to discover. There's so much, like, what is Ember? Like when you start discovering that you can infuse your abilities, okay, what is it? Like what is it? What does it do? Like, and the
Wow.
lore just already bring this stuff out. I think another thing that the game does to bring it out, besides the alchemy system, the crafting still needs a little work. I ain't gonna lie, but I would just skip all the way to the very end. The
No worries.
in-game
I'm
rating.
not much of a crafter, to be honest with you. So I just, I let other people take care of that stuff. I like to buy the stuff later. Or so sometimes, yeah.
Smart
Anyway,
man,
Yeah.
smart man, smart man. But yeah, I'm just gonna skip to the very end. Actually, when it comes to rating, now
yeah.
I didn't know about this information. I'm gonna ask you, Slayheim.
Yeah.
Did you ever do rating in EQ?
I did rating in EQ. Yeah, I didn't do like the old school rating, like the sleeper and the like all the old world stuff. But I did. Yeah, I did actually.
Perfect.
So I did. My sort of heyday with EverQuest, I stopped kind of around Omens of War era, Depths of Dark Hollow, but I was working on my 2.0 epic weapon, which in my opinion, it's like these beautiful epics that they designed. EverQuest is famous for having like the 1.0 epics. It's like this world spanning journey, and with quests and raiding all around the world with your guild to get this like incredible weapon that's like just kind of signifies like, okay, this person is a druid or this person is a bard. It was like these like class iconic weapons. But then they came out with the 2.0 epics, and they were really cool. They had particle effects, and it was really cool. So I was in the process of getting my 2.0, and I unfortunately didn't. But yeah, I did like heavy rating in Plains of Power, Omens of War, Gates of Discord, actually before Omens of War. That was kind of my heyday rating. Yeah. So
when you mentioned Plains of Power, so believe it or not, I'm assuming you ran like Plane of Fear, right? Or was it Plane of Fear? I think it
Yeah,
was.
so Plane of Fear is like an old school plane. Like they had the planes in EverQuest like well before, but yeah, you have like the OG Plane of Fear. Yeah, that one's a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which one? Never knew that actually. That's really good information to know. I never knew that. I need like I gotta go back in my information. But I
No,
learned
it's great. It's
that the current zone that they so that this is something that they did really different. This goes on to what I was going to mention. I do apologize.
no worries.
It what happened? It was Plane of Fear. That's what it was. It was
Yeah.
Plane of Fear when they designed the current rating zone that we you've actually seen it when you come into my stream sometimes. Is the Ibaxus zone. And when they designed Ibaxus, they designed it in homage or with a familiarity of Plane of Fear. Now,
Oh
I've
wow.
never rated in Plane of Fear. I never did rating in EQ, sadly. And hopefully in the future I will. But
Yeah.
I found this out like I think it was like a couple days ago, and also a little bit recently too. Like kind of like
Yeah.
reminded me like, hey, guy, did you know they actually do this for Plane of Fear? But how Ibaxis works is,
So that's a raid zone. That's a raid zone in Embers Adrift that's inspired by
Yes.
EverQuest's Plane of Hate or Fear rather. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And their idea was, and this is the coolest part of Embers Adrift that I think what really, of course, Endgame took a while, but really like got me revitalized as I hit level 50. So how it is it's separated into three parts. And it's there's lower Ibaxis, central Ibaxis, and upper Ibaxis. And so with Embers Adrift, how they handle the idea of raiding is that you have your normal raid bosses. So your raid bosses in the game start at level 15. At level 15, then you have a level 23 raid boss, a level 26, 36,
Yeah.
46, and so on. And then you also have your 3 level 50 raid bosses that you have to kill that are in Grizzle Peaks. And everyone was like, okay, cool. That's the end game. That's great. So to tackle this idea that you've done the Grizzle Peaks bosses and they didn't want people to feel like they had to replace their gear, so then they made a system called the Adornment system, where
Oh.
essentially it's like a layer of gear that's with your current set. Like, so you have your normal world gear and stuff like that, but then you have your Ibaxis set. Now, the Ibaxis gear could only be used in Ibaxis, which is kind of the part, but your weapons can be used outside of Ibaxis. So what people, when they see your rating, they'll see your Ibaxis looking gear and stuff like that, but it's mainly the weapons that add that power to it. Now, the cool part about this is that with the lower, central, and upper, there's essentially tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And you could kind of seamlessly, if you don't know Ibaxis, you will walk into there. You'll probably walk into Central Ibaxis now without realizing you'll probably see the mobs are a little bit higher level difficulty. And it's level 50 plus, by the way. I forgot to mention that too. You have to be level 50 to enter the zone. And so what they do differently is that they added a fourth, so you get 3 crafting professions, but they added a fourth one that everyone can get. It's called artificing. And what you do essentially, you get these pieces. So you find a sword, but it has like no stats on it. Okay, well, let's say, okay, what's the point of getting this sword then? Well, you get these runes that have specific stats attached to them, and they tell you in the description like this is good with swords, this is good with boots and stuff. Like you get bonuses when you put it on this, but it really emphasizes on, hey, you essentially can craft your gear with your stats that you want on that piece.
Wow.
And they did a really good job of allowing people to essentially build their character how they want it to be built. And when you go into Central, that power just goes from like, okay, these are pretty good, decent upgrades to holy crap, like I'm getting a massive upgrade with this. But the content is really freaking hard and it's really challenging. To give you a kind of a timeline, no one has reached in Embers Adrift. No one has reached upper Ibaxis. Nobody.
See, I love stuff like that.
Oh, sorry.
I love stuff like that. Yeah, where it's something that's still unattainable. It's like just out of reach. So we're all kind of working to figure it out together. And I love that. I love it when like games haven't really been solved yet. You know, like just sometimes anyway, sorry, please continue. Sorry.
No, I love that talk. Keep talking,
like
please. I love that.
We're just trying to figure it out. Everything is new and fresh, and that's just the magical time for me. Now, how big is like a raid force roughly in Embers Adrift? Like if you were to do something like that, how many people would you need? So last time I was on, there were a total of 15 people on. I think 16, but like most of them were like very high up, and then just me and Kazrax were like level 1. So that I feel like it's already like everybody's at the end game that's like playing basically. But anyway. Yeah.
No, you're right, and I shoot. That's something I will get into in a bit. But this kind of, but it's kind of what you're saying. Yeah, a lot of you can go up to 24 people. You can have 24 people in a actual raid as a whole. We have just gotten, and to kind of give you the numbers, we have gotten up to what I think 19 to 20 people like dedicated on on main raid days. Let's go progression days. Let's have some fun.
Awesome.
Let's do this. And to kind of give you like how much we've been working really hard at this, there was one group that almost got there, but there was a whole thing with that. But they got 5. So there's 6 main bosses total from lower, including central. And there's a big old fog wall that blocks upper Ibaxus. So no one can see what's past there. But there's a big old boss right in front of him named Ruto. So he's a big old tree dude. And so you have to, this guy hits like a truck. And how we know that is because recently we finally got 5 out of the 6 bosses down.
Wow,
and
congrats.
if we kill Ruto, it will be a world's first. So yay.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Congrats.
Thank you. And what the theory is that when we kill, and kind of what the devs have been hinting, when we kill Ruto, that fog wall is going to dissipate, and it's going to be such like we've been grinding out super hard to get to this moment. But going back to what they do differently is that it's these events, these world events that they really bring into the game. They really tie it in, and though it's really hard, it's not like these like World of Warcraft events where it's like, hey, do this event, kill this boss, hey, get some loot, shower, ha ha ha.
Yeah,
it's like, this is a challenge, like you said, coming together as a community, and like with the small community that we have already now, everybody's been like kind of coning it together. People who want to start raiding with us are like, hey, what do I need to do to start raiding with you guys? We're like, don't power level, but just enjoy yourself to the game. But when you hit level 50, let us know. Like, we'll get you in. Let's go there. Let's do this. And we're trying to essentially build a force of people to understand, like, we're not just trying to claim the boss just to claim the boss. Hey, we got this done. We're trying to do this because the devs have worked so hard on this stuff. We really want to like we really want to show the world what they have been working on.
Yeah.
And from story wise, Upper Ibaxus, from story wise, is what it's sounding like is when the magic gets revealed into Embers Adrift.
Dude, that
so this
is
like
so
a big
interesting.
freaking deal. This is a big deal.
Okay, wow. And actually, I'm just curious. Just a couple questions, just while you're talking. How big is the dev team for Embers Adrift roughly? Do you know? Like, is it 10?
6?
6 people? Okay.
I could be completely wrong on that number.
I watched a Loving Robot. He had them on his stream.
Yeah.
I've seen those conversations. Those are really good. So yeah, that kind of got me interested. And then also the sort of leveling process to 50. How long does that take roughly? Like if I were to get into it, for someone like me, I got maybe like 3 days a week, or I can kind of hop on, maybe grind a little bit. What does that journey look like? Can I solo since there might not be a lot of players on? Can I solo the whole time, or it's interesting.
Oh, yeah. No, yes, yeah. Sorry, I like to do the nod head things a lot.
I mean, and bad. Actually, not to turn this into a debate of like, oh, should you be able to solo? Do I need to group? I'm not one of those people. Mm-hmm. I'm just genuinely curious. I prefer grouping, but yeah.
I'm going, and this is something this is a conversation I always have a lot on stream too. When it comes to a lot of like either newer players, or even people who still play Embers Adrift. 100% you can solo in the game. This is what I always tell people, is you can solo in Embers Adrift. Specifically in 2026, you can solo in Embers Adrift. I've seen people do it. If you were like try hard solo, like you ask questions like, what's a good spot for me to solo? What's good? They have the tools for you to solo in the game. It's not hard per se, but you have to look for it. You essentially have to find out. Trial and error. Oh, this is not a good spot to farm because a 3 chef walks around here. This is not a good farm to spawn. It's way too high level. Like, what, like, and you really have to put the work into it. But let's say you wanted to solo. Let's say you fully on solo the game, which I've seen people do. They've done it in a month. And this is like half try hard, half casually playing the game. There's like bulletin boards you can use to get EXP. Killing mobs get you EXP. Quests do not give you EXP. They get you really good rewards though, for some quests.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
But let's
That's
say you
awesome.
wanted to. Let's say you had a dedicated group. You're in here. Oh, 100%. You can knock that baby out within like a month or 2 months. Let's say you have 3 days. Let's say you have 3 days. You and your friends come on maybe 1 or 2 of those days. You have a little spot for yourself. You're just locked in, put some music on, streaming it, so doing whatever. I think 100% you can get to 50 within like a month, maybe a month and a half.
Awesome. Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just curious. That's cool.
And it's very much, and I to kind of like add on to the conversation that you add on to the conversation of the question you asked too. It's that debate of there are people who do debate that, like, should Embers Adrift be a little bit too easy? Should it's a little bit too hard and stuff like that? And my answer to that one would be, it's a very hard game. It is a very hard game. It is 100% a game that if you're expecting some semblance of hand holding to an extent, there is none of that there. That you have to explore. Yeah, when I made my video, I specifically said you have to kill everything you see, talk to everybody around, talk to any NPC, ask questions, and just explore. You never know what you're gonna find. Even if you do find a dungeon that you can't do, you can. Oh, I have a group now. I can probably ask some people, hey, can someone run this with me and stuff like that. Like, there's places that you're just not going to find. There's still places I still discover in Embers Adrift. They're like
Yeah.
nooks and crannies here and there, and I'm like, oh, this could have been great for me when I was leveling, or I could have been here when I was here. So
Yeah.
when I actually get the goal to actually level alt, I want to go there and explore those spots.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah.
And what do you play? What do you play in Embers Adrift? What's your role? Because so when I was starting, I think they have I forget, like Sentinel, the other one, and you can choose like 3 paths. Is that yeah?
So luckily they changed that recently.
Oh, okay.
And I'm very happy that you mentioned that too, because back in the day when Embers Adrift, you started off with supporter, striker, and what was it? Defender. God, I
Okay.
should know this by now. Supporter, striker, defender. And when like you said this, usually when you hit level 6, you have to do your class quest, and then you get your subclasses. They completely scrapped that system.
Oh.
Now when you make a character in Embers Adrift, it is you can choose one of the 9 classes. You start that at level 1, you get it at level 1, you hop straight into your class. And back in the day, you could change your class because of that old system. Now they scrapped that too. They said, nope, no more of that. We want to be a traditional MMO because it just works better with people. A lot of people actually complained about it, like, this game is boring. I don't have my abilities until level 6, and it's just like, I understand where you're coming from. So they were like, yeah, let's just scrap it. And so that's when they did the whole new player revamp, which in my opinion, great idea. But the class I play is a Warlord. It is a Bard-esque class.
Wow.
In my opinion, a very OP class. But they have a lot of debuffs. They offer a crap ton of aura buffs. They offer just a lot of utility for your group, like haste buffs, like just basically your classic bard.
That's awesome. Utility is great, by the way, and it's cool that Embers Adrift explores that too, right? It's not just like the holy trinity, tank, heal, DPS. They have a lot of crowd control, buffing, debuffing.
Yep,
that's a thing.
Heavy into that.
Okay.
Oh my god! Don't even get me started with the CCs. I'm gonna get started with CC's brain. But yeah, no, exactly. They do not. They are 100%. Like, you have that trinity of the tank, heal, DPS. But like you said, CCs, like marshals, are straight up CC tank. They are strictly they are great for like controlling the mobs. It's another way of tanking, but through CC. The Brigand is heavy on stuns, but they are strictly on CCs. And Warlord, believe it or not, after really looking at its kit, they also are the only healer with a CC. Actually, they have fear, so they're the only class with a fear. And is the idea of like kind of like the World of Warcraft, where you fear something and it runs away, so you have to really be careful on where you're facing it. You really have to play with that too. Yeah. So there's each of these. There's each role, each set has its own form of a CC on there. So you just gotta learn how to play with that and that support spec. And even down, remember I mentioned the alchemy side of the things and how you build your character plays into a huge part on what type of class you're going in. So yeah, you could play a tank, but you could play a full-on damage tank. You can build your character to be a tank, or specifically a knight with a crap ton of healing on this thing, so you can have self-sustainability. You can play a high haste tank, so you're just hitting fast as hell. Like you really though you, like I said, you have the traditionalness of the Trinity, but again, it explores a lot of these aspects of how do I build my character. Like a warlord can be a deep. I'm gonna shout out to my boy Carmel, who's mainly doing this. He's building into a DPS warlord. Where warlords usually I'm playing more of a healer support. Heavily focusing on make sure my stuff does as maximum healing and maximum haste as possible. While Carmel's going to be building into high DPS because the warlords have a really good cleave, they debuffs, stack really well with your weapon damage and stuff like that. So it's just a lot of cool aspects you could really go into, and I'm glad you mentioned that too.
Yeah,
There's a lot of aspects.
And I'm sure
that
that probably hasn't been solved yet, right? Like, what is the best combo? Like, what is the best character build? Since people are still exploring all that, right? I would imagine that's so cool.
Even in leveling, it's still being explored. We still have discussions. Oh man, I found this, and that's a really cool part of Embers Adrift. There's a lot of loot that we still have not discovered yet. But this game's been out for what, 3 or 4 years now?
Dude, you're making me really excited to get back into it.
And we have a lot of it cataloged, but there's a lot of loot. Even they might change up a piece of loot here and there, and we have some gear sets and stuff like that you can get starting at level 1. Like there's some pieces that you can get, but there are some set combinations you can get into. There's like I said, certain weapons and how certain stats work. What stat works better with this character, and people could tell you, oh, this works better with this, and blah blah blah. But when you start exploring into what you want, there's not a lot of people playing. Though we have a low play rate, there's not a lot of people playing, especially even in game like Berserker Rangers. There's not a lot of people who have explored DPS Warlords. There's not a lot of people who have explored tanking as a Sentinel, as a healer Sentinel, which you can tank with a Sentinel, which some people have somewhat discovered that. And there's a lot of aspects you can build into your character, and the game allows you to do that. And it's just we don't have the player base to really lock it into or that one person who's besides Carmel, who's trying to, hey, I'm just going as this, I'm doing a DPS warlord. And so I'm hoping that if more people get into the game, they can discover that aspect of, hey, I can build my character to this, or I want to be this, and how do I do it? And you said, a lot of people haven't discovered this stuff, so I can't not wait to see what people build for their characters, and to see what they can come out of that.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's amazing. Nice.
Crazy. All right, let's lock it in. Baby.
All right, let's get back into it. So I just wanted to kind of circle back. You mentioned earlier. So, just a couple questions. Like you mentioned, are you part of, are you leading a guild, or are you organizing these raids? Are you kind of at the forefront of trying to figure out stuff from the game? And do the devs ever come and kind of interact with you guys? Or are they kind of for me, how the EverQuest GMs could come, or the Monsters and Memories, are they kind of boots on the ground, interacting with the players or doing stuff? Or is it more I don't know, you provide feedback on the Discord, or how does that work?
So it's actually how you explain it. So let's start with the rating aspect of that.
Yeah.
When it comes to rating, I am 100% not a leader, thank God, for a lot of that. I think Herb, Q, and all the other people who just actively they are the ones who set the timers, hey, can do this. Yeah. And they're really they're very, really, especially with all the some extra stuff on the side, they've been very hey guys, if this time doesn't work with you, or let's say we can't make it on a Saturday or something like that because of timing, they're like, hey, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what everyone's timing is. They do a really great job. We do a lot of round robin systems and stuff like that when it comes to our gear and loot. So a guy named Roscoe I guess he's really good at developing some stuff in programs. So he developed his own program that actually help us with just tracking loot and who gets what to make it as fair as possible.
Dude, that's awesome.
if you ever hear like a raid call out, you'd be like, oh yeah, Llama gets the rune, all right, and Roscoe gets this, and this guy gets this, and it's just like we have it set where it's just very good, and we can add they can add this. It's really cool. They do a really good job of like organizing raids, and they've been putting so much work into it. When it comes to the devs though,
Yeah.
100%, they are boots on the ground. Those guys I know for a fact are watching us every single time we go in there. Whether they're invisible, there were sometimes they actually came in. They were like, "Hey guys, we're shutting down the server soon," but just because they're having some server issues, but they're
That's so
coming in
cool.
just to watch us and just have fun, just joke around with us a bit. They do a lot of every month. They do a GM event.
That's
I think they do
awesome.
like two of them. If I remember correctly, they do two of them a month or just one of them a month. I have to double check that, but they do GM months every month, just to kind of have some fun with the community. They've now recently also been streaming themselves on YouTube
That's
through the
cool.
main Embers Adrift channel. Drennan does on Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Oh, nice.
and then also Undone, who's also one of the developers, does coding streams. So you get to see the back ends of like them working on new stuff. Right now, he's working on the Guild Bank for Embers Adrift and stuff like that. So,
Man, that is
but
so
also
interesting.
Undone's. You mentioned the skybox earlier. I just want to tie this in real quick. I do apologize.
Yeah. No
The
apologies.
skybox earlier, they recently changed that too. They added the weather system into Embers Adrift, which was longer weighted. We're talking about things like snow, rain, storms, stuff like that. And if just even a beginning, like kind of like step into it, it made the world feel so much more dynamic. Like New Haven Valley with snow, you would never expect to be like, oh, it's just snow. Okay, cool. But you get lost. So
Yeah.
even though I know my way around New Haven Valley, I got lost a couple times. Like this feels so different because I'm seeing snow with it, or with the rain. It makes it makes everything feel it's wet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when it storms, the wind is gusting. It's like they did a great job. Like every month, they're just spoiling us with like new content. So they've been really boots on the ground, talking in the discords. One of the biggest criticisms, actually, I could actually talk about this too. One of the biggest criticism I see a lot of people who they say like they don't like Embers Adrift, they didn't like it for the past, was that the devs didn't listen a lot, and I could even attest to that. I could actually agree with them. That's one of the biggest like I agree with you moments is back in the day. When the devs first launched Embers Adrift for some other reasons that were the reasons for this, they were really boots on the ground. Like we have our idea, we have our vision for the game. Like we'll take some feedback, but a lot of the feedback didn't really go through. A lot of people felt like they were unheard, and that led to a lot of like kind of growing like like distrust for the devs and stuff like that. Just how it's just how it goes. Um, but now that things have been pretty like kind of shedded through, I make a like a little kind of like a metaphor where saying that the devs, it feels like they're trapped. They were like trapped in their rooms in a big old house, and they just were stuck in their room. They didn't want to listen to anything. They didn't want to listen to anything from the outside. They just were stuck in their rooms. But now they're stepping outside the house. They're staying in the lawn.
What
We're not
you
going to add
just
like crazy
described
stuff.
is the allegory of the cave, which is a beautiful philosophical thing where you're just kind of chained up in a cave. You've never seen the outside world. When you finally do, it's like, Anyway, sorry, you just reminded me of something.
No. That's one I've never heard of that, but that sounds amazing. Actually, I actually want to look into that. Please remind me of that.
I will. I'll
but
send it to you.
Please, thank you. Because it was that though. Like you mentioned, like changing a cave, like it's exactly that. Like I mentioned, like they're stepping outside the lawn. They're not trying to step outside the world too much. They want to get like a breather. They're stepping outside the
Yeah.
lawn. They're still keeping it their vision, but not going too far with adding these mounts and microtransactions and all this other crap. Because they're very diehard on, by the way, on that. Do not add cash shops and stores and stuff like that. They're like, this game is a buy to. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that this game's also a buy to play MMO now instead of a sub like it used to be. And so they specifically also when they added on Steam, but they have an optional sub,
Yeah,
but it
I've
comes
heard
with
that.
extra perks.
Yeah.
But it is 100% like you can buy the game, play it forever, leave like for like a couple months and then come back and still play the game without having to worry about, oh, I have to pay for this or this is coming out of my bank account type stuff. And I love that. But they did a great job of like started taking more feedback, but we got the auction house now. We got Ibaxus. We got all types of we have little pets now. We can go like explore and stuff like that. And they're adding more systems to the game to add on more systems. So like the next thing they're adding is like this timed like kind of content thing where you could do it solo, or you could do it with groups, and it gives you extra loot and stuff like that. But it's like, something for for fun. Like you don't have to do it, but it's something that you can do for fun, get a little extra something out of it. But this system that they're adding, they can go into depth if you ever ask them. By the way, they are open to questions. By the way, so if you ever want to ask them questions, by all means, ask them questions. Because I could be wrong on some of this information. But from what I know, is that they have confirmed that this new thing that they're adding to the game is a system they're going to be using for fishing. So something that people have been asking for forever now. They're like, yeah, we finally, if we could implement this correctly into Embers Adrift, this system or part of this system will be used to implement the fishing system in the game. And whatever they do with that, God knows only know. God only knows. So,
Yeah.
But I love that they're doing that. They're adding system like the weather system. They added the new clouds and stuff like that. So the clouds are dynamic now. So the weather sweeps through the land. So if it's raining in Grizzly Peaks and the clouds are coming, they're moving a certain way or moving a certain direction. Let's say they're moving to New Haven Valley. It's gonna rain in those as it's moving. Like so, it's gonna keep raining, or the storm's gonna pick up. And you get to see someone in the distance too. You can see like the storm clouds kick up. You're like, oh. Now here it comes, and so it feels, and it is something that they keep working on. They keep revising and iterating on it, and it's so cool to see that. So sorry for the rant, but
Man, no, that's amazing. You're
awesome.
really selling it to me. That's great. You make me want to log back in. I had some issues with. I'm gonna get it set up and check it out again for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
so.
By the way, if we will get into like the deep dive issues because I learned a lot about, like you mentioned earlier, the payment stuff. We'll get into that later. I promise you. Like we're gonna get into like the heavy criticisms and what people's thoughts on. Because I've made lots of Reddit posts. I've made lots of things to get people's thoughts on the game.
Absolutely.
I've talked to a lot of players, and yeah, we will get into that. I don't want to feel like I'm praising the game and shilling it all day because I do want to actually talk about that too.
Okay, yeah, beautiful. Don't let me forget. I'm just going down my list here. If we're circling around a lot and kind of jumping around a lot, I apologize as well. I try to organize it for flow as best as I can, but I gotta say, just jumping back to the end game stuff, this zone, Abraxas, or I'm sorry,
Ibaxus. Yeah, sorry about that.
I really love that idea. It reminds me of like something you'd see on like Sword Art Online or something, this like unknown zone or that's really interesting actually. I really like that. I don't know much about it, but I'm gonna look into it. And so
definitely.
Now what about loot in the game? You mentioned loot. Like how does like if I'm out there killing bandits kind of in the opening area, like I noticed they started dropping, like gloves, pants, whatever. Is there any like like stats on the loot as you kind of go deeper? I'm sure do you have to quest for it? Do you have to like what is the best way to kind of gear up, let's say, like if I'm kind of jumping back into it?
If you're jumping back into, let's say you jump back into it and make a brand new character, boom, knock it in. There are certain names that you can find around the area. So specifically, the first one you're gonna find is Frenzied. Actually, I was actually the stream I did with my friend today. We had to find like three or four Frenzied bears, which are very rare to find in general. Like they're in the main beginning. They're in this big little beginning zone where you like first log in, and they have a rare spawn, but they drop a set called the Frenzy set. You can use at level 1, everything like that. So that's your first set of like stats. But there are certain mobs that are like that. Specifically, even like with the non-name mobs, like thieves that spawn at night, they have a chance of dropping the thieves' gloves or the thieves' blade. There's certain names that spawn in like certain areas around the new player zone that gives you like your loot too. Amber veins, they have certain names in there give you loot too. Also, certain normal mobs too. Also, on top of that, Central Veins, the main dungeon that's in the area, also gives you some nice loot. But like you mentioned, like, is there like what's around there? There's some mobs, even like non-name mobs that give you loot. So you essentially have to either find it, Another thing you get to do is also with the new crafting changes. The crafting changes, what I do like is that when you start crafting like your imbued pieces, like things that you can use, this little things that you get flux that drop have some chance that you drop from like monsters and beasts and stuff like that, or ashen mobs, which are basically mobs that you killed and they resurrect into like ashen, which help recharge your ember, by the way. So that's a great little system to help recharge it. Yeah, they have a high chance of dropping these little flux. And if you get a certain, let's say I wanted to craft a chess piece, well, I have to find the recipe that, to say, hey, is an enhanced version of this, or a flux version of a chess piece. And I'm in armor smithing, so I add the flux into it, and it gives me bonus stats. And as you, of course, level it up, it gives you more and more stats. So it makes crafting more viable. Crafting's still viable, even in game, too. So it's not like thank God it's like one of those MMOs where it's like it becomes obsolete. And you just have to get the main raid gear to get the big stuff.
Yeah.
But crafting still plays a huge part into this. So yes, I'm sorry for going on a ramble there, but yeah, as you explore certain spots, certain names, certain things you might kill, certain mobs will drop weapons. They will drop all types of stuff. So it's one of the biggest things I always mention with the whole kill everything and explore kind of aspect of things. Also, quests do give you amazing loot too. I forgot to mention that also. Quests will always give you amazing loot. Specifically the ancient bear quest is in the starter zone. That's like the god tier quest everyone will run to get like a really good purple weapon, your very first purple weapon. You'll be lucky. Also, there's a world boss. Well, world boss kind of like four Chev mob, big boss mob over there is called Misha. She's a big old white bear, and if you
Oh, wow.
you definitely need a group to kill her, but she drops amazing loot for people. So she's
Wow.
rare to
Okay.
spawn, but when you do group with when you do kill her as a group, very fun boss. She drops really good, like a crap ton of purple loot.
Okay.
I think the another one is the hearts, the Queen of Hearts. I think that spawns in the starter area. I think it's Queen of Hearts or no, yeah, it's Queen of Hearts. Queen of Hearts is a big old deer that just like walks around. Don't get her confused with the Elder Stag. That's like red. But the Queen of Hearts, she walks around too. So you also need a group to kill her, and she also drops really freaking good loot too. So there's a lot of names and like a lot of boss mobs that are in the beginning area.
I love that. Yeah.
And
And loot is kind of color coded, like green, purple, yellow, whatever.
Yep,
And then
yep.
there's also sets, so you can have like a set bonus and stuff like that. They do that. Oh wow, dude, that's awesome. I had no clue. Like I said, I didn't get very far, so I apologize for my ignorance, I guess.
Never apologize. Never. Asking questions like this is always key.
But this is great. You're really selling it to me. So now what do you? I'll go down my list here. What does Embers Adrift get right that you think deserves way more credit? And then I suppose like the inverse of that, like what do you think they, I guess not get wrong, but like what they could work on? I suppose is there like positive, negative kind of aspect to it?
So what they get right, I'm gonna because a lot of stuff, but I want to really like hone in that question to kind of answer it in a very concise is the word maybe. But it's the idea of but the main thing they get right is the world that they bring you in, but also what your class, like the class identity and the world. I feel like those are the two things they really get right. Because when I'm playing a warlord, I know I'm playing a warlord. When I play a brigand, I know I'm playing a brigand. Like depending on what class you're playing, you feel as you get more abilities, you feel like you are exploring that class like very hard. And the world itself, though it's not like crazy when you like inside like crazy like World of Warcraft's world or anything like EQ or anything like that on that aspect, but even for a little fantasy world, they have this little things and stuff like that that just kind of like makes you want to explore more. What was it? One guy, his name's Grizzle, or Grizzle Gamer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, actually, I was hanging out in his stream the other day, and I saw you watching. Yeah, I see he's playing that as well. Shout out to Grizzled Gamer. He's a cool dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. I love watching his streams, and just the way he talks about MMOs is like, that feels good. But one of the biggest things that he mentioned was like the one that they you mentioned this too, the skybox. They really sold the skybox down, so it really brings out the world. So he said like walked over the edge during like a sunset, and it really raid upon him, and he's like, whoa, like this is nice. Like
Man, I love
this.
that
And
for immersion. Yeah, I love the ambience of the world and immersion, like weather effects. That's what really gets me. Yeah, I love that.
And as they kept updating the game, it just kept coming together, and as they keep adding to the game, it feels great. Class building your class. In the beginning, it does not feel like that. And that's what like the question you asked about the gear. Though I explained it like that 100%, I will admit that for some players they will, sometimes the mob doesn't spawn, maybe they've already been killed, and some players may not be able to experience that, and that's okay. Like I think that's okay that not everyone has to experience that one thing all the time, because then it feels dull. But it is it's a killer for some people. They're like, man, I don't know, there's nothing around here because everything's been killed. But
Yeah.
so I do hope, kind of adding like an inverse to that, they maybe touch up New Haven Valley a bit, maybe add a couple more quests to kind of get people moving along. Um, but I can probably go into lead that into the inverse of things. 100% add more abilities. I think 100% they need to add more abilities, more things to flesh out classes a little bit more. Specifically, this is a video I'm actually working on. It's called replacing Strike. In the beginning of the game, you start off with an ability called Strike. It never levels up. It scales maybe with your weapons a little bit. It's a very cheap ability. It's just the ability to start you off with hitting stuff, but as you level up, you're just like, it's a useless freaking ability. It's just a dead ability, as I call it. No one's gonna use it unless you really want to play with the alchemy version of it. But the alchemy version of it, in my opinion, it's kind of ass. So I'm working on a video to try to throw in some ideas, but one of the big, actually I did throw the idea to them when I was on one of their like dev streams. They were kind of starting when they were starting to do dev streams again. They had me on there talk about the patch notes, and I asked Adric, who's also one of the other devs, and I was like, hey, I know you beforehand he mentioned he wants to bring back the class quest that they took out at level 6 for to get your class abilities. To get your subclass. And I sent you, I was like, a great way to bring that back is to replace I was working on this video of the strike thing. You should probably use that level 6 quest, bring that back. You could probably change up maybe some of the dialogue in there to really say that you're not getting a new class, but a new ability. But to then make strike a tailored ability for each of those 9 classes, where it does an extra effect, or it's themed to your class, and that gives one more ability for people to play with, one more ability for people to enjoy, one more thing that's add to their builds. Maybe build around it, maybe it's just something for them to really, immerse themselves even more into the game. And again, more abilities would be great, because the more abilities you can do more things you can play with, and more toys people can play with. There's nothing wrong with more toys for people to play with. And it doesn't have to be like sandbox levels of more toys, but and it's just like EverQuest. You talk about all these abilities. I'm not saying it had to go like that much, like 50 abilities for a class, but you see EverQuest, it's like so many abilities you can play with. You see Pantheon and Monster Memories. And I hate to do the comparison game, but you see all these abilities that you can play with this class, even some basic looking ones. Like, really, I think they should really, at one point, not now, but at one point, really explore that, see what they can do with that. You can start off with the replacing strike. That's my whole argument with that.
Interesting, yeah.
Another thing, and I know they've been doing a great job at it. I'm saying this just as someone who's been playing the game for the longest. In certain parts, bring out the magic. Bring out the magic. And I know they've been doing that by trying to add more creatures into the game to kind of add more to this fantasy. I would not mind seeing some half orcs. I would not mind seeing some. Oh, actually, I'm going to say bring out the magic. Bring out the fantasy, I should say. Sorry, bring out a little bit more of the fantasy. I know in low fantasy, they can play with a lot of creatures that are, like a lot more animal based, maybe some humanoid based creatures and stuff like that. Things to just fill out the world a little bit more, like something like little goblins. I think goblins. I think that's low fantasy enough. I don't think they're too high fantasy for anybody. You can make like a hybrid, maybe maybe more like realistic goblin, looking thing. And just some stuff like that, like it really brings them out. Like they get the snatch scales, and these snatch scales are literally just walking chameleons with weapons. And their lore is they also tame like spiders. And they tame like really like poisonous creatures around them, specifically spiders and ants. But they're big old. and they're really dangerous. They look silly, but the cool part about it is that they're like the creature, like you like a humanoid-esque creature, but lizard, and they're very dangerous and then they look cool as hell too because when you kill them, as you're fighting them, they change colors because they are a freaking chameleon, and so when they die, they just turn all gray and stuff. So it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
that's
but it's
awesome.
just small things like that. I think they add more creatures, bring more of the world out. Believe it or not, also with the Embers Adrift, they don't have horses. They don't have horses in the game. Not saying they should have them, but like oxes, elephants, something to bring out in the desert, bring out giraffes. Something like that. Like really bring out more creatures, more things, more humanoids, more tribes. Another thing I think they should add a reputation system just to give people something to do. Maybe have some lore tied behind it as you gain rep throughout the lands. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks for grinding this out for us. Let me tell you more of these lore pieces around this because I think the lore is pretty deep in the game, so they do a great job with that. And then I think the last thing I'm going to add is lore cards. They need to have ways to save conversations or important lore tips to people because I want to one of the biggest things I really want to start doing too is it's going to be really hard work out whether I do it or don't is lore videos. I want to do more lore videos because I did one, but I do lore videos on like certain quests and stuff like that to talk about the lore, but you have to kind of if you already did the quest, you can't go back to the conversations and stuff like that. You have to either make a new character or hope that someone recorded or something like that on the quest and stuff like that. So it's a lot.
No, that's very interesting. Man, I can just tell you're so passionate about the game, and I do kind of, believe it or not, I'm kind of old school. I get kind of I like the idea of like classes kind of relying on each other and stuff. Maybe like speed buff, Spirit of Wolf or whatever. But like I've never really been crazy about mounts personally in games. It's just my personal opinion though. They're definitely cool.
I agree.
Definitely not flying mounts, but in general, if I don't get them out, that's fine. But I do like quirky stuff. Like not everybody has to have like this perfect steed of a horse. I like what you said, maybe like a giraffe or just like something quirky to ride. I think would be fun.
I do apologize. When I mentioned that too. Luckily for me, I am also 100% on the no mounts kind of thing. It works with Embers to have a mount. Now, it would be quirky as hell to run a little giraffe creature thing. That would be cool as hell. But I'm 100% one of the crowds who are like, this game does not need mounts. Maybe an expansion in the future.
Yeah.
If it was like really big, but 100%, even I can agree with that. Like no mounts. I agree with that one.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking? Since you're like such a big kind of champion of the game, maybe the devs could give you like maybe like access to like some kind of test server, maybe like some kind of like GM account on a server where, where you can get that dialogue. You can get like whatever you need to do. You can go to parts of the world you've already been just for like the content creation aspect of it, just so you could get the footage or whatever. I don't know. Anyway,
they do have a QA, thank God. They do have QA, so, but like you said, it's not like open all the time. It's only meant for testing. But I would love that. I actually would love like a GM. Not really a GM account per se, but like you said, like a administrator thing where not I said privilege, administrator account, where it's separate of course from the main game, but like like you said, get the lore and stuff like that, do like things like video creation, because I've seen people do that where like they will make like for World of Warcraft, such my huge inspiration. It's a guy named Jedi Warlock. I'm just doing a lot of shout outs today. A guy named Jedi Warlock. He explores like the crevices of Azeroth that you've never got into, and I wanted to like do stuff like that for Embers, and where it's like, hey, did you know that like the exiles have been in the the little bit of the lore that you get from the exiles, which is like this bandit camp, the bandits basically of the game. They here's their presence in New Haven. Why are they in New Haven? Or let's do this quest line that it gives you hints for this and this. Like it's just small things like that, because Embers Adrift has all those little crevices, even for like a small indie MMO. They do a great job like putting little crevices in there, or have the blight get here, blah blah blah. It's a lot that they can do. Like you said, like really like fill out that stuff, and just I think that'd be super great.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So whenever you play, sort of what do you think the game wants from the player, sort of emotionally? patience, attention, cooperation, humility. I just kind of wrote some stuff down. What do you think the game kind of wants from the player, and also like what kind of player do you think that Embers Adrift is for, and then who do you think should not play Embers Adrift? I guess like the inverse of that. Like, who is the game for and who is it not for, I guess?
No, that's a really good question. It's a very good question. And I think the for is gonna be the hardest part. The not, that's gonna be easy. But so let's start with the hard. Let's start with the hard part. What is the game bringing out, and who is this game for? 100% the community. 100. This game is driven. The devs will. I'm saying this now as a positive thing. The devs will not shut up about it. It's all about community, and they are hard driven on that, and I love that. I love every aspect of that. The systems are built to force. And I'm gonna steal this quote from Ion Blaze. He's a EQ creator. That the game forces you at points to group. It's like to really get into this era, you have to have a group, but you experience that cool part of it when it comes to trading and professions. Though you get 3 professions to kind of work with, 3 of those are gathering, and not 6 of those are. There's 9 professions total. 3 of those are gathering, and 6 of those are crafting professions. So you might not have I might get prospecting and forest, for something, but I might need leatherworking or some hunting or somebody to process that leather. So, I need someone to help me process that leather. Or I might need meat from that leather and stuff like that. And the way the crafting works, one of the biggest praises I have for the crafting is that it is 100%. You can definitely tell it was made with the intentions that you cannot have everything without sacrificing one thing. And it encourages things like trading, crafting, talking about, hey, does anybody have this? Thing with recipes and like certain pieces, like there's a lot of materials you can mix and match with gears and crafting and stuff like that. So 100%, like the game has that community aspect when it comes to grouping, rating, anything. Just sitting there and talking, like it feels like the game is 100% built on this idea. Like when they thought of old school MMOs, they said it's about the community. And New Haven is like the only like main hub spot that you can really go into. The great example, also another system that helps with that, is the town monolith. Every 5 days, they just increased it to 5, but every 5 days, you're gonna see these little Roomba, little like floating like arrows that are flying around. There's gonna be one in every zone, and you have to essentially, when the town monolith turns off, everyone has to come together and be like, okay, there's gonna be a guy in the city who's gonna be turning the little like knobs and to face in the right direction, and everyone has to be like at least one or 2 people have to be in the zone to find not only the little Roombas, but to say, hey, New Haven South is New Haven Valley is south, Grizzle Peaks is west, and stuff like that. And so when everyone comes together, solves the puzzle, it activates the town monolith, so you get discounts on your traveling through each of those monoliths, because that's how you kind of so much fast travel is through the monolith system. And also you get access to teleport to the town. So it gets everybody every 5 days. We all come together. Okay, let's do this, boys. Get the stuff done. And it's just small things like that just really brings people together. Now, what has that forged for us with the lower player base that we currently have now? And I think you would know this more than anything, is player recognition. And also I'm just gonna say this as blatantly as possible, to not be an asshole, because if you are, you will be kicked from groups. People will not talk to you. It just feels like a little, like, I think someone used a better word, a village. It's like a little village, and there's some people who act a fool. They're insulting people. They will wipe and then immediately log off. It's like just baby behavior. But instead of tolerating that, we're just like, well, I'm not going to play with you. And they're thinking. I know some people are like this, and this is another part of the people who don't want to play. So kind of leaning into that a little bit. But there are some people who think by coming to a smaller MMO, they're like, oh well, they don't have a choice, essentially, that they have to group with me. But they learn very fast. Like, people are just like, I don't want to deal with your crap. I'm just going to move on. I'll just do something else.
Yeah.
and they would just leave the game because not the people who left the dude, but the bad people would leave the game because they're like, well, I can't act like an asshole. I can't talk crap in world chat. I can't insult people, which has happened a lot. But can't talk about I can't do anything crazy, and without having the consequence of people just being like, I don't want to play with you. I don't want to talk to you, or I don't feel like grouping. I don't feel comfortable grouping with that guy because he will do this and he will do that, and no, it just feels good to like kind of get that that bond, because when you get people
Mhm.
who do that, they just leave the game and they go back on to play something else where they can get away with doing that and get into a dungeon, act like a piece of crap, and then leave the dungeon and then just go into another group and stuff like that. And it's just, I love Embers Adrift because it really brings out again the community, but the idea that you get to know people on a deeper level. Now, to go into that, I was kind of leaning into already with the people I don't think they should play the game. If you're going to be an asshole, I'm going to straight up say that it's if you're going to be like that, I don't play Embers Adrift. People will out you very quickly, and they will be like, no, I don't want to play with you. If you're looking for a game to give you instant loot, instant progression, instant this, instant that, like, I'm sorry, I'll go back to Fortnite. Not to say that an insult, but like there's
Yeah.
other games out there for you. Like there's other games out there for you. If you, I would say if you're going to come into the game expecting like craziness, like though as much as I praise the game and love it, if you're expecting to come into this game expecting like the top tierest like MMO of all time, no, Embers Adrift is not that. It is definitely, it's a fun game. It has great systems into it, but if you're not going to take the time to actually like explore those systems and at least just power drop, I'm gonna say this as a very, I don't know people's times and stuff like that. So 20 hours at max. At max, if you're not going to drop 20 hours or 10 hours at max of the game, just to explore the game, get a good feel of it or something.
Mhm.
Like if you're just going to come in, yeah, I don't like this, and then just leave. I will do some research before you think about coming to the game. This game does not hold your hand. It is like I said beforehand, it is a hard game to play. But if you're already used to like these old school esque systems, definitely give it a try. It's something that I think you might get your hands on and might end up liking it. You might not like it, and that's okay. Um, but if you don't like Embers Adrift, this is for the people who don't like Embers Adrift. Please, this is the perfect time to give your feedback to the devs. They are streaming every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Get in if you have a problem with the systems of the game, talk to the devs. You can come to the Discord too. That they will answer your stuff there too. But they also stream. It's a great time to go to the devs and contact them and be like, hey, like I had this problem with the game years back. Is the game fixed now? Or I came back recently. I don't like this system. I think it kind of is off-putting. The devs will listen to you. They have added so many things into this game and fixed so much stuff in this game already. From people just coming in like, I haven't played in years. I saw the system when coming back. I just didn't like it. They changed that within like a week or two. So definitely look into before really just like seething on the game for people, some people who don't like it. Definitely take this opportunity to probably go back and just try to give it another shot of just confident devs, be as critical as possible, but also, with constructive criticism as much as possible. I understand some people can't do that, which is okay. But yeah, just that's my biggest tip. So yeah, sorry for that rant. So yeah.
No, it's beautiful. I love it. And you just reminded me, like, yeah, reputation is everything in these kind of games. People remember very quickly if you're a jerk. And for a game, I mean, the smaller the population, like, the more that gets magnified, you know what I mean? So, like, in World of Warcraft in its heyday, you had, like, millions of players. You could just disappear into the next group or the next town or whatever. No one would. It would take a while before people catch on. But, if you have just, like, a handful of people and, I'm an asshole, then, yeah, it's very important. Reputation's everything. I love that.
Oh, yes.
Do you, so, like, I guess, what is some of the criticism that you've heard, I guess, regarding the game? Do you think that's fair? And then, what criticism do you think kind of misses the point entirely, I suppose?
This is gonna be fun. All right,
Yeah.
like it's the oh my god, I can let's start with the lighter ones. So a lot of the criticism Embers Adrift gets, a lot of it I feel like was solved, but this is the main ones I get nowadays. Um, the more modern ones, the gameplay is slow. I've seen that, and there were aspects to that 100% in the beginning. Remember, I mentioned the adding extra abilities
Mm-hmm.
would definitely fix that. If you gotta just tweak up some abilities, or just add a couple extra abilities for each class, 100% the class that it won't feel as slow. That I don't feel like they need to speed up anything related to that sense. It's just again not enough abilities for people to play within that 1 to 10 range for it to somewhat justify, it being too fast or anything like that. But I think they should definitely look into adding a little bit more abilities. Um, I think that's one of the biggest criticisms I've heard when it comes to the game. It just feels too slow. Optimization. They have been doing a great job with optimization, but needs just a little tweak here and there. They're working their butts off. I know they're doing that. They're working so hard on this game. So that's one of my biggest criticisms I've heard from other people, and I could even say for myself, just little tweaks here and there, or just kind of helping out with just helping in with the game with it comes. I'm no dev or anything like that. I don't know crap when it comes to this stuff. I just hear from what I go off on what I hear. But it's like in the server optimizations, stuff like that, just to make it less laggy and stuff like that. Now they've been like I said, doing a great job, but here and there. Another big criticism though I've heard is that some parts of the world do feel empty, and this is not even like the beginning zone. It's actually later on to the game for people who hit like level 20 and maybe even the 30 areas. That the certain parts of the game feels extremely empty, and I have been saying this for years. They have been doing their hardest to try to figure out like what spots they can really get stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the killers zones, I would say, of like the zones that where people are just like, I can't really get past this.
Mm-hmm.
Highland Hills, and they did a recent thing with that one too. But Highland Hills, and I've heard, not right sure, excuse me, and Meadowlands were the two big ones. So Meadowlands is like the big, like kind of big gate where people are like, oh, either you like Meadowlands because it's so vast and flatlands and it's big and it's so much to do here, but you have to walk to it. Or you or get people who are like, this zone is way too big. I feel like I'm getting trapped. I'm getting lost, which you will get lost. You will get lost. I don't know where I'm going. This game needs to, this game, and it usually falls into the people who are like, this game needs a reticle, which I do not disagree. But I also agree why the game doesn't have it. You kind of have to learn the land. I get it, and I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, 100%. Like that's kind of the biggest things I've heard. Like like Meadowlands is just way too vast. You get lost really fast, and so people have quit the game because they're like, I just don't know where to go. But also Highland Hills. When it comes to as raiders now, it is the hardest thing to get people from 36 to 45 is around like kind of like the Highland Hills kind of level bracket a little bit. And oh, Slayheim, whew, that zone is like a great. If there was tombstones of all the people who quit Embers Adrift because of Highland Hills,
Wow.
it would be that thing will litter. It will litter that field.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it is a brutal freaking experience. And luckily they've added stuff recently to kind of like circumvent that a little bit by splitting the whole zone into two. To two zones where it's island based. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. I can't believe I didn't ask that. But like, is there like corpse runs in the game? Like crazy corpse runs? Like you got to go back where you died and get your stuff, and like how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if that's a stupid question.
No, it's not a stupid question. That is Highland Hills. I'm glad that's a really good question to ask about that because Highland Hills, that was one of the biggest problems with it.
Just like impossible corpse runs.
Yes, so to start off with the corpse run question, which is going to lead to more of the Highland Hills shenanigans. The bag. So how it works is that you die, and people can bring you up still from like a little timer. But of course, if you die, you give up. Your bag drops. Now, luckily, you don't lose any of your gear. You don't lose anything crazy. You just lose what's in the bag. So like what you had farmed up in your inventory. Now your gathering bag is still there, so you can still gather mats, which is nice. But it's just your main bag. So you just walk up to it, drag the bag, grab it. That's good. And they also have an arrow on your face, for your icon for your character where it points to where your bag is. And also if you hover over it, tells you how far it is. Now, it doesn't sound too crazy. For certain dungeons, when you go deep into a dungeon, backgrounds are terrible because you might be killing a named mob and you can't pick it up now. You can't pick up the loot there. So that's why backgrounds are like super like for certain parts. Oh, it feels great. That's great. You're deep into a dungeon. Oh, it feels terrible because you're like, okay, we gotta have some CC so we can dodge this boss or something like that, or dodge this named mob, so we don't get the loot and lose out on this stuff. So it's a whole strategy right there. But Highland Hills, and I can attest to this, has the worst placements of mobs, has the most annoying because when you go up hills you go slower. It has so many hills that it just feels so impossible. The stalker mobs are brutal, dude. It's just, oh my god. I have never felt so much soul sucking from Highland Hills until you got to the highest. In the beginning of Highland Hills is beautiful. It's amazing. This big old nice view of the lake. There's nice leveling spots to go into. You got the King of Hearts that's there, which he drops like really good cooking recipes and stuff like that for damage buffs. They have like the outdoor kind of dungeon-esque area. Arborhome, which is a really fun spot. I love that freaking place. Like Highland Hills, the beginning of it, the lower level part of it is great, and then you get to the other half, it's just barren. There's no dungeons. There's only one EV. It's just all these mobs that are in there. It's just I could go all day on how much I hate Highland Hills. A lot of my friends who've made it to level 40, like level 40, level 44, 100% every time they get to immediately if I hear, man, just Highland Hills is getting a little bit too tough, man, I'm like, come with me, bro. Like there is content that you can do to kind of help circumvent Highland Hills through some other EVs you have to find, but Highland Hills as a whole, that has been their biggest priority recently, is revamping Highland Hills, specifically the upper echelon or the upper levels of that, because they want to add a new dungeon into it. They want to make sure to add more content into there, so it doesn't feel such a drag trying to just get those levels in. And it's been brutal, but that's one of the biggest killers actually for Embers Adrift right there. Beyond that, and this is the weird one. This is gonna be a weird one for you. The player base, and I'm going to say this, and I this is something just really funny when I say this. So I can tell you, Slayheim, there's about 600 people, if not plus, that actively tell me through Twitch, Reddit, YouTube, even believe it or not, even in game, there's people like log in. There's not enough players in the game. I'm not gonna play this game until we have enough players. And there's like 600 at most, 600 plus players who actively are waiting for this game to get a player base to join the game. And it's like, I wish I could just like centralize them and be like, guys, let's all get together, hop in for the game for like one day at least, one day, and they could all just experience it all at once. That would be great. Probably not great for the service, but that would be great.
Yeah.
Because it's like it will solve that problem. But of course you can't. It's kind of hard to do that, one. And two, it's a whole big thing. But there's so many people who do not play Embers Adrift, and like one of the top criticisms, like number one, All-Star, NBA, the whole thing. They are not playing the game because there's not enough players. And we try to explain to them, like, yeah, it's gonna be brutal at first, but definitely if you want to come join us, like, if you're willing to bear with it just for a little bit, the more people we get into stick to the game, the more the player base will grow. But it's just hard to do that with those, certain things that happen. But the second to that probably be just negative feedback, people's past experiences of the game. I haven't played since launch. This the one I loved. This is another funny one. Saga of Leucemia. That was a whole. I can't even explain the full story of it. I will have to have like an actual like dev or someone to really get into that touchy subject. But the game was previously Saga of Leucemia, and stuff happened, and now it became Embers Adrift through some shenanigans. That's the best one. The heaviest cliff notes I'm gonna go with. But a lot of people, well, not a lot, some people, when they I love that llama mug. But
thanks. It's actually my wife's. I was hoping you would notice it. This is pure coincidence, I promise.
It's stars aligned.
Yeah.
But but when it comes to the people, there's some people who actively hate Embers Adrift because it's not Saga of Leucemia, and it's kind of like I don't know, you probably seen this through Pantheon where people are like, it's not Brad's vision. It's not Brad's vision. I
Yeah.
don't want to play the game because it's that argument. They're like, it's not the original creator's vision. They don't even have magic because of it. It's not Saga of Leucemia. I hate them, and they like, I hate it. I hate this game, and so they will spew it like all over. Like, I hate this game because of this, and that's who they are.
It was an original idea at first. It was something different, and then it became Embers Adrift. Is that
Yes,
what
sir.
you mean? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's a whole that's a whole can of worms. I do not want to
Wow,
open personally for
okay.
myself.
No
But
worries.
there you go. And
No,
so yeah.
yeah. No, please continue. Please continue. I just want to
that
make
was my
sure.
fault. Oh no, you're good. And that's kind of like the big one right there is the people from Saga Leucemia. They don't like the game. People who had a really bad experience in the very beginning because that the game was crap. I will admit when it first launched. The people who want to wait for the game to blow up, but they're just kind of just sitting there, just kind of like, okay, I'm waiting. And like some valid criticisms here and there of certain systems of the game. So it's like a whole combination of that. It's just a big barrier I think the devs are facing right now to just try to get people into the game.
Yeah.
It's just a lot right now.
I hear you. And I think that's a challenge that a lot of MMOs have. Like, people are never going to be happy. There's always going to be like more, like, I guess, vocal groups or that, and actually, I mean, this was some time ago. I'm sure that things sound like they're very different now, but like, my buddy Gulo, Mr. C, Dorkachu, I think they played very heavily. And Gulo told me at the time that like, they just kind of they didn't quit, but they just kind of phased out a little bit because there wasn't much to do in the end game at the time that they were playing. Obviously, that doesn't seem true now.
I was there when I saw them quit.
Yeah, it seems interesting, and but anyway, I was curious about your perspective on that.
No. That's 100%. That is correct. Before Ibaxus, before even Grizzle Peaks, there was no end game. There was no, when you got to level 40, I think the highest zone was, funny enough, Highland Hills and Retro Ridge. That was like the top two zones for people to even grind. Like the first people to get to level 50 just had to grind mobs, like green mobs, and so eventually they end up getting some there. I think there was some level 48 here and there, like maybe like 48 like kind of higher level mobs, but even then, like I think Arco Slayer wasn't even in the game yet at that time too, and so it was brutal. Like it was 100. Like when the game first launched, when I mentioned it was like it was booty. Like that game was not good. Hot dog water, like it was not good for in game.
But it seems like they've done a lot of work to kind of turn things around. And actually, is the game kind of heading towards like a 1.0 like official release phase? Is this still kind of like in development, or like where would you say the game is at currently? I suppose.
After Upper Ibaxus, they have confirmed 100%. Like this has been confirmed by the devs. After either during Upper Ibaxus or after Upper Ibaxus, we will be getting into epic weapons into the game. Like that is the next big thing they're getting. And once they get through epic weapons, and technically GP3 is kind of the code they're using for GP3, we are looking, and they have already talked about like what 1.0 is going to essentially look like, which is there's a when you start the game of Embers Adrift, this is a big. I don't know if you remember that bridge that was behind you, that one that's like covered in mist and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's called the Darklands, and the kind of story is that you lost your memory as you pass through it because it's just magic and fog, and it's just a mysterious aura.
Man, I love that.
Like, it's like it's just this foreboding, like this thing, and you can even hear testaments from like the other NPCs, like, oh yeah, no, I have some memory of like when I had to cross there, but all I remember is I crossed the bridge and I got to the other side. Like a lot of it just felt like this Darklands was just really brutal, scary. Like we do not know. But the devs, thank you, Drendon actually recently been making the map of it was actually one of the first streams he did was make the map of his idea of what the Darklands will kind of look like. and holy crap, it's like Mad Max. Like we're talking like some Mad Max type stuff, and like you got the Southern Kingdoms to worry about, and like what each of them is like. There's like a swampy area, there's one big old desert, there's like one that's like a kind of nourishment area and stuff like that. It's like they like if they were to make a 1.0, like a 1.0 of Embers Adrift, or do you mean like 1.0 like releasing the game 1.0, or do you mean like an expansion?
No, just like officially releasing the game, I suppose.
Oh, the game's already officially released.
I see. Because they're still doing development.
That was my fault.
No, well, what about like expansion or like another module kind of a thing? Okay, I see.
That was my fault. That was 100% my fault. That was on me on that one.
I got
the
you.
game is already out.
I didn't phrase it very well.
The game is already out.
Yeah.
No. That was not your fault. That was because
do you know why? Because it's like, Pantheon's in it's like early access. Monsters and Memories is getting ready to come out in early access. Adrullan Online. Yep. I'm playing all these games that are still in heavy development, and I just okay.
Yep. Embers Adrift is one of the few games that are already out. Thank God, they've already been out. That when they launched.
And they're not doing any like wipes or resets or like anything.
Nope, it is. The game's been out for like 3 years now.
Oh, dude, my bad.
No.
Sorry.
It is again. You're not the first one to ever say. That's why when you mentioned 1.0, my brain immediately went to expansion instead of like stuff like that. It is not not your fault. And I think that's the biggest thing. Embers. Another small thing. Embers Adrift. Not really small. It's actually kind of like consistent. But it's out there, and where people still think the game is in early access because of all these other games in early access, and that's such a great thing to bring up. I'm so happy you asked that question, and also I'm so happy I got it wrong because then I had to correct on it.
Well, actually, then that reinforces your point more, as you said. There's like 600 or so people that are like waiting for the game to get, I don't know, maybe like more developed or more stuff. Well, guys, it's already here,
Yeah, it's already here. We just need you. like just get in. My biggest, of course, like big shill thing I would say, but it's honestly a valid shill. Just get your friends. Get into the game. And though it's hard to kind of even convince people to try something new, the game's $20, thank God, on Steam. And even I've even made the little YouTube shorts of explaining hey, if you really are very hesitant on Embers Adrift, on the Steam sales that they always do, I think the next one's in July, if I remember correctly. That one, the Steam sales bring the game to like $10. At one point, it brought it down to like $9, maybe I think it was $8. I think at the lowest. I think it was during the winter sale. Actually, the game was cheap, extremely cheap. Mm-hmm. So I would hop in while it's hot. If you were to just spend the $20, bit 2 hours in it or less than 2 hours in it, you don't like it. Refund the game. So make sure luckily Steam has that backwards refund. Mm-hmm. So for all those people, I always like to tell the safety just in case some people are, and so but yeah, no, Embers Adrift it's already out. Like I already said, it's already out, and they already have plans of the next expansion, but they just want to get the epic weapons done first. They want to get those more of the in-game stuff out of the way. They want to flesh out their world first, so people are going to be playing the game before they even think about getting it 2.0. They want to make sure that people are well off at 1.0 and heavily lead into the thing without having let's skip. And because it's going to be in the Darklands too, that has been confirmed. That means the gate, how the World of Warcraft does a launch and they have the zone opening kind of have that they're planning. I remember they mentioned that their biggest plans is if they were to ever get to that point was to essentially kind of have that big opening where it's everyone's back where the journey started. They are back where they started to start an even bigger journey.
To go across the bridge into the Mistlands or whatever, right? Wow, that's cool.
And I love that. It's so cool because then even new players, let's say the game starts popping off or something like that. You get new players that are just sitting there, and all of a sudden some high-level guy comes in here with upper Ibaxus just coming in. And they're like, "Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the game." And they're just like, "Hey, where are you going?" "Oh, we're going to the Darklands, so bye."
Man, I love it. And I love the idea of epic weapons. That's just so cool to me. I love the idea of a kind of like a Darklands or kind of like a Dark Continent, Mistlands kind of a thing where it's super, super dangerous. Nobody's ever been before. Nobody's ever returned. I love that stuff. Yeah, from a lore perspective.
Oh, it's amazing. And also the cool part with epic weapons too, they have said this too. The game is so there's not a lot of proc items in the game. So like this, if you block with this shield, there's a chance on block that it will give you plus 10 defense or something like that. You know, like kind of what World of Warcraft and all these other MMOs have. So the epic weapons are going to be the introduction to that system. Procking, like, so like this, if you do this, it procs this, or clicky items. So if you there's another thing that this game doesn't have is like clicky items. So that's the epics are going to act as that too, as that system. They have confirmed that, thank God, that it's going to be this clicky system. Like some items might be clicky, so it might resurrect somebody, blah blah blah, you know, like the cleric one. And so that
really
is
cool.
I agree. Like it's freaking awesome. I love the fact that they're going to be implementing systems like this, and then going to be then backwards compatibility, like going back to certain items and then adding like effects to them and stuff like that. Just kind of really flesh out the game, which really cool. But yeah, basically, long story short, yeah, 100%. I think they have a lot of good stuff planned for the future for this game.
Yeah. And what do you think Embers does better? Just going to what we are talking about before, what do you think they do better than people give it credit for, I suppose? Do you have anything there?
I think I mentioned this beforehand, but the building, yeah, I did. But the building of the game. So when it comes to the building your character and building it the way that you want, I think they do such a great job with that. When you start getting into that system and finding the pieces of gear that you want, in-game rating, I feel like the rating is so amazing. Like it's challenging content. Like it took us, I think, it took us a month just to kill Morty, which was the recent raid, the raid boss we killed. It took us a whole month of just progressing him and just brute forcing it and just trying to learn his mechanics. Like small things like that goes a long way. Even it's brutal, but I love it.
And with 24 people, you said, right? Sorry to interrupt you. Roughly 24.
Yeah, literally roughly 24 people. I think we killed Morty with 18, and that was just we really had to like figure out that encounter and try to, of course, not exploit the fight or do it and make sure to do it right properly, because there was a whole thing with that and the first grade we did that year ago. But we won't get to the drama. But the Embers Adrift drama. Now that's a question later on. I would love to, but
but definitely remind me.
Deal. But what happened was when it comes to the content, the grouping content, the dungeons in the game are fantastic, except that's another one they should add, Freehold. I love and I hate Freehold. It's just laggy mess. It is a dungeon they really need to revamp. Beyond that, every dungeon that's in the game I enjoy a lot. Specifically, actually, the what was it? The Forgotten Depths dungeon. It's one, if you ever come and play the game, you get to around like level 25, around that mark. Definitely try to get a Forgotten Depths run. It really shows that some dungeons can be a little bit differentiated. Oh yeah, that's another criticism of the game. Going back a little bit, just one more thing about it. I do apologize. They do copy and paste a lot of some of the dungeons of the EVs. So that is something they have looked into recently. They're trying to actually, when they add more EVs into the game, they're trying to add more like unique looking ones, so it doesn't feel less copy and paste in there. But the devs are already on that one, so that's
actually
good.
I want to ask you: is the world kind of like, is it like an open world? Like, can I go into a dungeon and it's my instance of that dungeon, or is there like other players that can come in and like? Can a dungeon support like multiple groups kind of moving through it, like high level players, low level players? Is it like kind of huge in that sense? Okay, cool.
Yep. Every dungeon can hold multiple groups inside. I think it can hold up to, because you can have 6 people in a group.
That's beautiful.
I think 18. I think 3 different groups. I think you can hold. And then but they have a layering system built into the servers, luckily. But it's only when it's like I think it's like 100. If it's like 100 people like in one zone, then it like layers off into another one. But it's a whole sharding system. But they barely had to utilize that recently. But when it comes to dungeons, though, they can have up to like 3 groups and stuff like that inside them before it layers off to another one.
Okay,
which is nice.
Anyway, please continue. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, that was a really good. No, you're asking a very solid question. Oh, my mic didn't just cut off. Oh, hold up.
No, it's good.
Uh,
I can hear you.
There we go. Sorry, no. I had this mic thing, so I had to reset my audio. Oh, there we go. Sounded good. Heck yeah. And so what happened was, when it comes to the Embers Adrift and stuff like that, I'm trying to remember what I was talking about. The dungeons. Oh yeah, the dungeons. Yeah, the dungeons over the game are really great. They just have a lot of a lot of as get higher up. So a lot of them have different varieties. The gears that you get in there feel worth it. And it's just a really good time. Like overall, the grouping in this game just is something that is so solid that I feel like other MMOs can get it right if they just really focus on like it's a challenge
Mm-hmm.
every single time. And even when I go to like help out people at level 30 dungeons and stuff like at a level 50, I can
Mm-hmm.
still die. That's another
Yeah.
cool part about it is that they even make the world feel it's not everything scales to you. You can still one shot a couple things stuff like that if you go really really low, but you can still die to like level 30 mobs. You can still die to level 40 mobs. At level 50, you think you have all the best gear, you can just last a little bit longer compared to everybody else. So it really allows you to just really have a lot of fun with the game too, while still having that bit of challenge thrown in there. And another thing they did really well is the gel system. So if you have, let's say, a level 40 comes into your group and you happen to be level like 32, maybe 33 or 34,
Mm-hmm.
and you're fighting mobs at like 36, 37, 38, the mob you would gel, the lower levels would gel up, so then they can actually hit the mob. The higher levels can just kind of just be there, and everyone can still get EXP. So that's actually really good. So that no one really loses EXP. And also, if you get into a full group, you get bonus EXP actually for that. So actually, really incentive. I always keep forgetting to mention that. You get bonus EXP for being in a 6-player group.
Oh, wow.
To incentivize group play. So I love that.
I
I
love that.
love it.
I
It's
love
amazing.
that too. Yeah, that's a really good system to incentivize people like you said. Because I just feel like people nowadays, I mean, I get kind of like that, believe it or not. Sometimes I get kind of shy or like antisocial. Like I see someone, it's like, oh man, it would be cool to group, but then I'm kind of shy to ask them. And I just love it when you're incentivized to group. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, when it's
go
a
ahead.
shy thing too. Yeah, a lot of people have been shy, and I don't. And the thing is, I do not blame you. I do not blame you. I've dealing with the current MMO market, or the kind of going back into why also retail and all them are kind of like these. A lot of MMOs are dying is because you get a lot of these players who are just impatient. They're rude. They so you don't. And I've seen like people like I'll invite them to guilds, and they're like, "Oh, thank you for the invite. Like, are you sure? Like, I'm new to the game. Like, I'm like, yeah, bro, get in here. Like, we're here to help. Like, come on." And so people get it's actually a culture shock a lot. A lot of people will even describe it as a culture shock where you come to this game and also a lot of people are really nice and like help you out and stuff like that. So like a lot of the people who don't talk, I would go hop on my low level character, invite just I don't even ask them, and it's kind of rude of me, but I still I just brute force. I just invite them, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna be running this dungeon, and you're happy to be on. Let's go." And they're like, "Oh, but I'm new to the game. Are you sure?" Like, I'm just, bro, just get in here. Like,
That's
I
fun.
promise you were on a good time, and they have a good time. You know, it's like, and it's for some people, they're like, I'm good and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Just, if you need to run anything, let me know. Like, we try to be there for people and stuff like that for the game, so to kind of get people out of that shyness. So yeah, I agree with you. It's 100% a valid feeling, and I just don't blame you.
I hear you. I want to ask, whenever you organize a raid, and I know it just depends. I know there's different raids, but let's say you're doing a raid with, you have like 18 people that get on. So, what is like the organization of that and kind of the execution of that look like? So you kind of meet up in town or whatever, head to the place, like assemble the groups. I'm sure maybe you balance out the groups based on like what role people are playing, like buff up, talk about strategy, whatever, execute the boss. Maybe you fail the first couple times and you have to do like the corpse recovery. Basically, what does like a raid night look like? Is it like, 3, 4, 5 hours? I mean, I don't know, like depending on what people have. Is it kind of reminiscent of like old school EverQuest or World of Warcraft raids? Is it kind of like that?
It's because remember how you mentioned the multiple groups and stuff like that. So Ibax is like that. So any group, any dungeon you go into is it can hold multiple groups. Thank God.
Yeah.
So because we're also like the only group that's mainly in there. Yeah. When it comes to rating, we let's say at the rate at like it's 7:43 p.m. Let's say I have to rate at 8, which is that's not true, but let's say I have to rate at 8 p.m.
Hmm.
We'll get on maybe like 10 minutes early. Some of us would be in town. Some of us would be in, already like sitting in Ibaxus because they also have a ley leak system. Where if you say you're in the, because some certain dungeons have certain checkpoints too. So let's say
Hmm.
you're deep into a dungeon, you have a fire, and like someone's like, "Hey, excuse me, I have to get going." There's little
Hmm.
exit points that you can go to, especially in EVs, but like also some certain dungeons. There's like exit points you can go into at checkpoints. So if everyone has to leave, this exit point, boom. But let's say someone wants to come in. If two people are next to a fire in a dungeon or an instance zone or instance, like quote in that one instance zone, you could teleport them to you. They have to be standing next to a monolith, two people standing out there, and boom. So for raiding, we have our groups and stuff like that set up, and we have like, okay, there's a couple people in Ibaxis. Here, let's join. We'll have them join a main group to get those people in. So get people in who are ready to go, and the people who are not ready, just grab your stuff. You'll be joining into like another part of the group, and then we get all the raids formed together. We make sure we have our food buffs. We make sure we have our tea buffs. Make sure our potions. We were talking in the chat, like joking around for a bit, but we're talking about okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go kill lower bosses, and then we're gonna go into Cordon Ali, and we're gonna go into Morty, and after that we're gonna do Rudo and stuff like that. So we just kind of talk about the plan we're gonna do. Then we just execute it. Like
Hmm.
we go in, kill these bosses. We have a rule where it's like if there's new people into the raid, hey, you guys have priority over this, and this. If your loot drops, like just stuff like that. Just we try to make it as fair as possible. We also try to make sure that things is running as smooth as possible. If you're late to raid, you're late to raid. It happens, but we don't like shame you and stuff like that. We're just like, I'm late to raid, like I like 3 or 4 times maybe, like here and there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. They're like, yeah, we're on this boss right now, so all right, you killed me yet? No, all right, cool, I'm on my way. Like, and then I get in there. Sometimes I have to make the actual run, the trek all the way to Ibaxis, but it's not that bad when you get used to it and stuff like that. So it's just like you said in EQ, like either you're meeting up at the city or you're meeting up here. I would
Yeah.
love it if we did like a thing where we all met at the city and like, yeah, let's go this and blah blah blah. But we're just like, let's just get in there.
What is the run over there like traveling to the actual like end game area there?
Oh yeah. So it's in Grizzle Peak. So Ibaxis is like dubbed as GP2 because it's like an extension of Grizzle Peaks, but again, new whole brand new zone
Hmm.
where you could teleport. So as with the monolith, you could teleport to your checkpoint fires throughout your world. And so there's a checkpoint fire that's the last one that's there right before we hit the core dune area, which is like these guys who worship. I feel bad for the core dune lore, but the core dune, they basically worship Ember. They consume it. Their whole thing is ascending with using the magic to ascend to their stuff. And
That's
all the
awesome.
time they're actually just experiments and being gaslit by the big main bad guys.
Oh
Um,
man.
it's funny as hell. I feel bad, but it's also kind of funny. But what happened was you had to go through the whole Cordon, this whole big old Cordon level 50 area, like strictly level 50 plus area, where one of the world bosses are too. But you go with this big old road, and you have to watch out for this road too, because it's a guy called the Chosen. So he's your introduction to like the magic that's you're gonna be seeing a lot in Ibaxis, because those lot in Ibaxis you're seeing like the tail end of, let's say, human alchemy. Let's say human alchemy where people are using flame breath and stuff like that. They're using like big old like AoE effect poisons. You see like gaunts that are right there, which are these big old goat things, like these monsters. Like you're seeing like the pinnacle of like what this looks like. And actually, we found out in lore, thanks to Trendon, that lower and central, and the reason why there's a fog wall there, lower and central are all experiments. They are all, hence the gaslighting part. They're all experiments of these core dunes and these big old crabs and these big old monsters. So they were all experiments. This whole time, they were all just one giant experiment because the original guys who wielded magic, the Vaherman, uh, there was a branch that of them when they had this big old war, and the good side basically went to protect us. So you've actually probably seen them when they're at like kind of these big old dudes and they disappear when you try to walk up to them.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, if you ever see those are we call them originally we call them the others, but there's a quest that explains it's a Valherman.
Oh,
You probably won't forget this, so that's why I'm gonna say it now. It's just a spoiler alert, but at the same time, you'll probably forget this by the time I keep
no,
talking about this. Hell
no
yeah!
worries.
And so, but you get the Varbermen, right? So the good ones. And then you get the bad ones who said, we want to keep exploring this idea of magic. We want to see what effects it has on these people. And it's the humans that are in this area. So they took the core dune, said, hey, we're going to experiment on you, but that's because we want you to ascend. And these guys are like, whoa, these monsters want to experiment on us because they're using magic. Wow. And so, sounds like familiar. And so, so they basically start experimenting them and basically gaslit them and saying like you're ascending, and then made a big old fog wall and say, yeah, just don't touch us. So,
Wow.
all of lower and central Ibaxus is just us basically dealing with the experiments, and then upper Ibaxus is dealing with them. And so that's gonna be fun. And so yeah, Rudo is the reason why he's the big old boss, because he's the gate guardian of that mist. So if we kill him, that mist goes away. So that's gonna be fun. But going to the whole kind of the whole idea of it though is that yeah, we're there when we're in those like things, we're in there, we're grinding out, we're killing these bosses, we're rocking it out as hard as we can. If we fail, we're just like we go back to the fire, because also when you die you lose like health and stuff like that, maximum health, so you have to sit by a fire to kind of help it recover it. So it's a little downtime, so we lose a lot of health, we go back, do your thing. And it's just literally that when it comes to raiding, it's just forming groups, getting ourselves out there, rushing in and do as much as we can. We even sit there and farm. Sometimes we'll go around like circles and kill these sentry mobs that are like basic archers that stay in one place and they hit really hard. So you have to kind of essentially like we usually farm them out like in a big old like circle. We call it the sentry farm, and we just go around and kill things in a circle. We'll sit there for like 2 maybe 3 hours farming, and after that, if they're like okay we're done for the night, we'll all go to sleep. And then some people would do lower farms where they excuse me, farm at the lower content and stuff like that of the game. And they'll be there for oh my god, first it was like 8 hours. There are some people who can like our tanks that are in. I big shout to them. The most I've heard they've actually been in Ibaxus with 13 hours of just sitting there and farming out mobs left and right. I'm like, jeez, God,
that's dedication. Yeah.
I wish I could sit on the chair for that long. So,
dude, I know.
Man, it's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. Hell yeah.
Man, that was great. Thank you again so much. This is so much fun.
Oh, dude, I'm enjoying every second of this.
And yeah,
Thank you so much for allowing me to do this.
You're really selling it to me. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And then I wanted to ask too, just kind of going off everything we're talking about, what makes a good session for you in Embers Adrift? Like, what's just like a really good, satisfying night in the game actually look like for you?
That's it's probably the simplest answer I'm gonna probably give this entire interview. Fun, just good old fashioned laughing, chilling and relaxing, just talking with the boys. Go one. I should go extend a little bit into this one. Because of my age, of my 27-year-oldness, born the good old year of 99, a lot of the people who I play with in the community are a lot older than me. We're talking about like 40s and up. A lot of these people in the group, so they'll mention like a lot of references. Like I'll be lucky if I get a reference or something like that, because my mom and dad or my sister can be. My sister listens to a lot of oldies, and my fiance she listens to a lot of the Disney movies and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of times I'll like learn new stuff. Like they'll talk about like music artists and stuff like that, and that I don't even know about actors from way back in like the 60s and stuff like that. And it's just fun, like just talking with people and vibing. But like I said, a good night just to chill and relax. Like I said, not do anything crazy, get some loot, maybe talk to stuff, help some people out. Like you like when I stream, it's either like if I'm not like dead face tired from a long day at work, I'm just talking with people, I'm just chatting with people, I'm just having some fun. Worst case scenario, we die too crazy, but it's rare that I'm like so angry when I leave. So like you said, good night is just chatting with the boys, chilling, grinding, and then you get out for the night. You're just like, okay, I'm satisfied.
That's beautiful. Yeah, playing with friends, just vibing out. I love it. I love it. Do you have any like kind of memorable moments that kind of stuck to you like while playing the game? Any like funny deaths or like maybe like weird glitches or something you've seen, or just, you know, anything like that?
Oh, dude, crazy
That
one.
stuck with you specifically.
So one of the best funniest moments that Drendan, the head executive of Star Famous Studios for Embers, he mentions this on his streams too. How I've one time on a stream, I was there's this name like torch bugs, big like the little torch ladybugs that spawn at night, and sometimes in some zones there a named version will spawn, and they drop pretty decent loot. Well, I was like on stream, I was like, "Ooh, this bug spawned. No one was here to help me." Now this thing's like I think is if I remember correctly, it was like a 3 chev. So that was like it was a group, mob, and I was like, "I'm gonna fucking solo this." So I learned that if you kite it around a fence, just the way their models worked, that you could kite it around a fence while using a crossbow and just shoot it from a distance. And because warlords have like a haste buff, we have a hit buff, we have a region buff, we can literally just sit there. I could just sit there and just kite it. Now, I didn't know halfway through when kiting this that Jerndon was on my stream and watching me do this. So I'm like just kiting this thing, and Brendan's like, "Oh, whoa, are you seriously kiting that named mob?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm just kiting this named mob." And I think Eloa also was on the stream too. So the devs are just watching me kite this mob, and I'm thinking like, "Am I gonna get banned for this? Like, if this technically is exploiting somewhat?" But they just watched me just kill this mob, and I soloed the bug, and I was like, heck yeah, it was a really cool
That's
moment.
awesome.
I had a decent amount of people in the stream that day. It was just a really great time. And but another funny moment, I still have a clip of this one where um so there's a place called Undercroft, and there's two of them. There's Undercroft Karst, and there's I think this well, no, oh sorry, Aquafire Karst, and then Aquafire Undercroft.
Hmm.
Undercroft has this little cool ass section where it's like you enter this little tower in the middle of this lake, and you go down the stairs, so you get to like a little like solo section. But if you go all the way down, you get this like, you get to the group section, and there's a big old rope that goes all the way down. Well, there's no barrier. There's no invisible barrier there. So a lot of people, it's like a tradition where you take someone new to Undercroft, someone will fall to the death. And I was trying to do that with the new with the new players. I was like gonna trick them into falling to the deaths down there, and I was like, and then take the rope down there and revive them. But I was not paying attention, and karma got me so hard. I fell down the hole, and it was just like,
Oh
it was like,
man.
dude. And so they learned their lesson through me. So I was like, oh, jeez. But I, when it comes to Embers Adrift, like there's the most memorable moments is honestly like raiding, it conquering these raid bosses. Those are more recent and stuff like that. Just the trials and tribulations we have to go through just to get to this point. Um, I think also really some really cool points of the story where it's like a world is gonna AoE fear, so I've like saved so many people just trying to get like would be big pulls, and it's like oh crap, and so we would just AoE fear, and then Herper like trying to get ourselves out of there, and there's so many points, and especially with Empress Adrift where you could move while healing. So there's a lot of moments where you could, if someone's down, like they're like down ahead of you, you can just herp and run, herp and heal them, and herp and try to get out of there while you still can. It just leads to so many intense moments while you're, especially in like cramped dungeons. It's like really intense moments where you're trying to escape the dungeon, fearing everything, ceasing everything. Like you're just trying to escape while trying not to train the whole zone. And it's just like, oh my god, because we've trained zones before, and it's just like these mobs will like, especially back in the day when they didn't leash them too hard, you could train a whole zone, and it's insane, dude. Oh man, it's crazy, but that's part of like my funnier kind of like fun moments. The rock the fence technique also somewhat works in Ibaxus too, where I could take some of the mobs, and if let's say we pull too much,
Hmm.
we're just dying, like crazy. I'll get aggro from them by using some of my healing abilities to get the aggro from them, and then I'll just kite them around a big old rock. So they're getting smarter too. The devs made them smarter, so they actually will split off and try to like corner you in. But if you have fear, you can hurt them like fear them off real quick, and then hurt and get them back into a circle. So it
That's
takes
fun.
skill, but it's a lot of fun. I love doing stuff like silly stuff like that in the game.
Yeah. Do you like what do you think the game still needs the most? And if you could just kind of like wave a magic wand and make it happen, like what would that be?
Caster
It could be
class.
one thing, it could be multiple things. I know you touched on the classes.
Caster class. 100. I will get so much hate for saying this in the community, though it has become more of a growing sentiment. Caster class. 100%. I think, and they
A
now
slight move
this is
towards
the
high fantasy, fireballs, you know. No, I'm just
Mhm.
kidding.
No, you're not wrong. But the crazy part is, so the devs actually answered that question. So they've actually answered this multiple times. But the best answer I've gotten out of them was actually, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. They talked about how they do want to add a caster class. They actually want to add caster classes to the games. Actually, basically like the extra 3 to kind of like match it out. To get 12 classes in there basically. But
Mhm.
they're working on trying to implement their own version of a caster. So they don't want to have a traditional fireball slinging caster. They want to add a caster that's actually unique, so to bring something new to the table when it comes to MMORPGs. And what does this class bring, and how does it affect the current ecosystem of classes in the game. Like, they don't want to disrupt that while still adding something brand new that makes this idea. So I think with the current teasers we've been getting through Ibaxus of the mobs that are using the skills on us, I think they could craft something really amazing. But 100%, that's actually that's a little secret thing I did not want to mention for the but I should probably mention it. It's such a perfect time to mention it here. Remember way back the question was like, what is the criticism we hear about the game? I think that's one I think I purposely missed, but best to talk about it now. The caster class. That's actually the number, technically, besides the whole waiting on the game to get big, is the number one killer for Embers Adrift. Is there is no caster class.
Interesting.
And I think adding that into the game of their own unique caster class that is still fun and still new, it has something fresh to the table. 100%, I think is 100% needed for the game.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and I know a lot of people that they just like to play straight casters, so yeah, you're kind of
Mhm.
excluding those folks, I suppose.
I think it would include them in a certain way, because like Pantheon's kind of doing that too, where they're having the mastery system,
Yeah.
where you can kind of build into, like, so like I heard what was it, wizards can build into a spellblade kind
Yeah.
of play style where they can
Yeah.
use more wet melee kind of play style and stuff like that with their stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, if the Embers just taps into that, like of like this spellblade, maybe a spell breaker kind of thing, or maybe like a high, maybe like a CC. If they could add what do you call it? What's the thing enchanters can do? Charm.
Yeah.
Like have like
Yeah.
charm mechanics or something like that. Maybe even have a class like a shaman. I heard that's a really popular one for Embers Adrift because of the themes and kind of like what it's gonna showing through the art style. Like a shaman would be perfect for this game.
Yeah.
Lightning and stuff. Like it just things like that. And if they do want to add like a fireball slinging like caster, I think they should even go even more for the warlock playstyle. We're not the pet like summon demons playstyle warlock, but more like a destruction, maybe affliction, where we put a whole bunch of dots onto something. Like that's one of the really cool idea. But that's kind of what I've seen. But I think they can still incorporate the people who want to be traditional casters if they just implement it correctly. It's all about execution past this point.
Okay. Beautiful. And then just last little section here. I was just
Mhm.
wanted to ask, so like, what do you think the game kind of needs to become like a true kind of long-term forever game for most people? And do you think that like Embers can kind of survive and continue just being sort of loved like very deeply by, passionate people, like a smaller audience that just really loves the game? Or does it need to kind of break into something bigger?
Mhm.
What's like, I guess, the healthiest future, I suppose, like in your mind? And I know this is kind of a layered question, but do you think they should kind of stay kind of in its lane now and continue along, or should it try something else to kind of try to like win more players in, I suppose?
I Ooh, that is a layer question. Now I think about it. Hold on, I'm gonna do the job thing. I'm gonna be quiet for a second. Got an answer. Okay, there we go. Had to think
Wow,
about
I
that one for
love
a
that.
second. All right. Joffer does it all the time. I need to start doing it more, where I need to actually think, especially for later questions. And that's a really good question. So personally, what I think is that the game needs to expand on certain aspects. Like I think an example I've used in the past actually is Turtle Wow. Turtle Wow, though they've just lost a lawsuit between Blizzard,
I
but
heard,
looking at
yeah.
what they've done is they expanded out the leveling of the game. They really brought out more stuff to the world. And what the kind of devs are kind of somewhat doing now is essentially just build upon the world. And if the devs just keep doing what they're doing now, which is they're already doing it, we're just building upon the world, adding more things, fishing or systems and stuff like that. That is enough. Essentially, basically completing the game in their heads, completing what they really wanted to add into the game to flush out this world as much as possible. So when people come in, they're coming into us mostly feels like finished product and not something that feels like a little too unfinished. Um, I think that would be something that they really need to do. But when it comes to trying to appeal to players, the only thing I could probably think of is maybe adding some more, maybe a couple more soloing spots. Maybe add a little extra gear that can be dropped from here, like some spots that are usually not known as farming spots. Add some more named mobs around the game a little bit. Like I think that's the only way they can probably cater besides adding a caster class. But but it's
Yeah.
the only way I can see them catering to that. And when going to the long term, can they still survive? Um, the best way to answer it, from what I've heard from the devs, is that even if this game shuts down, they've even talked about, like, if this game ever shuts down, like I said, they cannot uphold it anymore. It's just they're on their last strings. They said they would put out an open source code so people either can do private servers for this game, so they want to keep the game alive and want to do something with it, they can. They said they've also, or they're just gonna either just keep the servers up as much as they can and just have it for fun. Like just people, if you want to keep playing the game, keep playing the game, and just let it be those dead, empty worlds. Let's just do it, because at the end of the day, the devs have said, like, they made this game because of the fact that they just made a game. Like, oh my god, guys, we made an MMO. Like, we did it. And you can hear when we talk to them in voice chat and stuff like that, they're very much, you can hear the passion. Like, I'm talking about passion because I was a player. But if you ever did an interview with Drendon or something like that, that would be freaking awesome, because you would just hear the passion of this man. Like,
Maybe we could do it. Like, you could come on and we could have him on, just because, like, my level of knowledge is, like, not even, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. No, that'd be awesome. And two, definitely look into that actually. But it's the passion of Drendon. Like, if you ever hear that, even Undone, Age, like, you just hear them, you can actually hear it actually, because they stream and stuff, like I said, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But if you ever hop into one of their streams and just ask them, like, kind of like what you're asking me, like the questions of the game, like just ask them the
I'll have
questions.
to check it out. Yeah.
You would just hear, like, you would just see the lies light up. I mean, you saw the Monsters and Memories interview that they did. The guy from Monsters and Memories, the I Am Robot.
That was awesome. Yeah. They seem like really cool dudes.
Oh yeah, and Drendon, he's just phenomenal guy. I talk to this guy a lot on Discord too. Like, we just chat up and stuff like that. And but just like that, I think that's another thing that I think a while back, when one of the first questions you've asked is like, what kind of brings me to the game? Besides the community, the devs themselves. When hearing them talk, it's just like, wow. Like, it's not they don't care that the game's, like, failing or anything like that, but they don't. It bothers them, but it's like they don't let that get to them as much. They're like, okay, let's figure out this. Let's try to make it work. If the system doesn't work, that's okay. Let's move on and try to get something. They're basically just shooting everything at this point, but at the same time, like, they're not doing too much to try to ruin the games, like adding these extra systems. They're careful at planning, like, okay, we can get this in because this system would add this in, and it's just building the blocks, I think, at this point. The house has been burnt down, and now they're just trying to rebuild it back up and make it into a nicer house instead of trying to build the same thing over and over again. So, excuse me, I almost burped in there. But yeah, it's just that's what kind of like keeps me in the game. That's what I think that's their whole idea of what if the game fails, they're just gonna just deal with it and just keep building upon it. And just because of the fact they built an MMO, that's what this is their baby. So let it grow.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? I think actually like the Monsters and Memories guys said that like if for some reason it just doesn't ever work out, they'll just make it open source or whatever. And yeah, no, that's interesting. They definitely seem like very passionate guys. I'm just kind of looking here. I think we covered a lot. I had a section about classes, but I think you went like in great detail regarding that. There was a blurb in here like what makes someone useful in Embers Adrift instead of just like raw performance, just being like a god tier player. I guess it's more of like a community angle too. Like what you mentioned community is very important, but what is the community in Embers Adrift been like from your perspective? I'm sure you're at a point where you know most of the people playing currently. Is there like one server or is there like multiple servers? I'm assuming server. Everybody's together.
Yep. Everyone's together on one server. Even if there was like 1,000 players, it will still be under one server.
I love that idea. That's kind of something interesting I've been thinking about in the future. It would be cool if like MMOs could figure out like some kind of mega world where it's not like, oh man, you're on this server, we can't play together. I'm on this server, but it's the same world,
I think we have the technology.
But then again, it's like, how do you support millions of players in like one dungeon, But this system too, like you said, with the layering and the shards or whatever, I think that's very interesting. Anyway, yeah. So, well, what has the community been like from your perspective?
I think the community has been. It says great. I mean, I always talk to people and stuff like that, but the community is very, very much like on a deeper level from what I'm kind of sensing. We're starting to see a lot of the game's toll is taking on some people, and it's not in the sense of like they're quitting the game per se, but the conversation, like the conversations that we're kind of having here, are being brought up a lot more. Where it's like, man, like man, I wish they just had more players in the game, and man, I wish they had this, and I can see more people. They kind of starting to feel like they're like for people who are leveling, they're just trying to get with as many friends as they can, trying to make as many, trying to join guilds and stuff like that, or make their own, and just trying to find a place in the community and stuff like that. But because everything is starting to get more smushed together, we're not having as many players funneling in. Everyone's, like you said, everyone's starting to get to know everyone, and so it's becoming a point where the community is just kind of like cycling each other through, like getting to know, like I said, a little village and stuff like that. And so it just comes down to just having a decent chunk of wave of players come in, and I feel like it would revitalize a piece of that part of the community that I think, like the aspect of helping new players, the aspect of really going on our way to answer questions. Like we still do that, but there hasn't been so many questions coming through because not a lot of people, newer players, are asking asking the questions, or they are asking the questions if we're just trying to, we can answer them like within like a quick second because we're all going to answer the freaking question. So it's I think we just need. I'm starting to see some stagnation, and it's starting to hit a little bit with some people. But I think if we just get like a water of a wave of new players, it would be really good. It would be really good for the game, and that would be a great thing. But beyond that, the community. Oh, another thing that the community has been doing is building so many systems. So when we do, that's another thing. Also, that's another thing they've been doing. But we've been building systems. So if new players come in, we have a guide ready for them. We have stuff because we know people like wikis and guides and stuff like that. We're trying to build a wiki for them. Where even though there's already one here, it's kind of broken. So we want to build a new wiki for them. We want to build. For me, my videos, I want to keep people updated and stuff like that. Of course, I haven't uploaded in a while because I've been busy, and so, but I've been, we were just trying to create systems for the game. Tober has been great in creating a Steam guides for people for quests, gear, how to do certain classes. He's just been working really hard with that. We're just trying to set everything up for us. And then also not only for us, but only using this to then say, how can we give this to the community? How will this benefit them? and what can we do to do that? And so it has brought us closer as people, and it just feels like one big old, like I say, big old family and one big old community. It sounds like some business corporate stuff right there, like one big family.
No,
But it's just really nice.
it's great. It's cozy. I love it. Do you is there what's one more thing that you wish, I guess, more sort of players understood before they judge Embers Adrift?
It is yeah, it is a small team. It is it is not your traditional MMO. Definitely something different. But just give it a shot. I hate saying that word, like, give it a shot, guys, but they really need to, like, step outside the box with this one. Step outside the box and see it from a different point of view. And again, if you don't like it past this point, it's all good. Like, I ain't tripping. It's not my game per se. Like, I'm not going to make the game a game, but just give it a try. Just get into it and see what you can make out of it. See what you can do when you hop into Embers Adrift, and if you can find something that you enjoy, then do it. Like, you don't even have to raid with us. There's some people who even just farm out materials and they make a crap ton of money in the auction house through us. I guess because we need the materials for raiding. So, or just new players and stuff like that. You can, like, one thing I want to try to start doing. I might do like a little side project within the community. Is making a trading guild. So I'm trying to do lots of YouTube short videos of, like, talking about, like, the auction house and, like, what's in the auction house recently and what to kind of craft or sell.
Dude,
I kind of want to create,
cool.
like, a whole economy and stuff like that around that, and get people updated, because a lot of new players don't even know there's an auction house in the game. So they, because the city is, like, a little bit on the other side of the new player zone, so they're not even going to look for that. So I want to try to get this, like, idea and show people, like, hey, we are trading. This is what's the ecosystem right here. Everything's looking cheap. What's what we need? What's going to make you some good money? And so when people watched my first one, they were like, "Oh yeah, dude, can you tell us more tips?" And so now I'm encouraged to kind of do more of this Traders Guild kind of style stuff on the side while I'm doing this rating and stuff like that. Like, hey guys, by the way, leathers are really in the market right now. Repair kits are really in the market right now. Like, stuff like that. It gets the trading going and stuff like that. Gets things going again. Yeah, it's a lot.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much. This is mostly the end of the section. I know you wanted to touch on a few things like the payment system and some other maybe some other juicy drama. We can do that now if you want. I'd like to end the section if you could bottle up one message and kind of send it to the devs of Embers Adrift. What would it be? We can circle back to that, or we could
we'll save the drama for another day, like another day, another dollar. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But I was like, because if I get into the drama, that's gonna be a whole another hour. So I don't want to make you suffer like that.
No, you're good. You're good. And then if you have time, I'd love to get your perspective on, like, some of these other games that are kind of coming out in development. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely ask. Yeah, definitely go right ahead.
Okay, well, we'll do the drama stuff later. With the payment system and stuff. I've just kind of heard people talking about it. But yeah, so if you could just kind of send a message to the devs directly, what would it be?
I feel like I've definitely told them. I told them a lot of words in a good way.
You seem like you guys are in contact. I'm sure you give them good feedback.
But if I had to give the message to the devs, just keep doing what you're doing. I know it's hard. I know you've been through a lot. I know you're going through the struggles right now. And I know through your successes, there are successes there. And it feels like some parts have failures because, the numbers and stuff like that. But just keep going, guys. Like, it goes to every freaking dev, if I can even get this message out there. Just keep going. I know it's hard. And I know it's hard to kind of please everybody, but just keep going. You have a whole great game here. You have a great community of people that love you. You have a lot of people who don't even know about Embers Adrift and who really want to know about Embers Adrift. So just at every step of the way, it's going to go great for you guys. It doesn't have to be millions of players. It doesn't have to be 10,000 players, but it's just something that's comfortable, something that's fun. Even 100 active players, that will be amazing. So just keep working towards it. You're doing great. I'm sticking here to the long run and to the game, to the point where I'm the only player left in the game. I'm gonna do that. So seriously, keep
Yeah.
up the great work, guys.
That's amazing. You're very passionate about it. It's
Thank
great.
you, thank
That
you.
was very beautiful and profound. All right. Well, I wanted to get your thoughts on EverQuest. I remember you were I popped into a stream one time and you were playing Project Quarm. You were just starting it out.
Yes.
How far are you still playing that, or
Because
you seem like
sorry.
you seem like a very busy guy, and I will say I'm sure you feel the same way. It's very tough to play multiple MMOs like in a good way, you know, and that's kind of a challenge that I have with my limited time. But anyway, yeah, so kind of where you at with EverQuest, Project Quarm, maybe even go ahead, sorry.
No, that was my fault. No, my brain has talked more than it should.
Yeah, do the Joppa thing. I love it.
Yeah, I was like, there you go. So when it comes to EverQuest, I loved the experience. I still my level 5 druid. I have not hopped back in. Maybe I think I hopped in like 1 or 2 times maybe to play a little bit, but I've been so busy with Embers Adrift and all the content and the rating there that when we get done with all like this big rating and stuff like that, oh, I'm coming back to Quarm. If anything, I'm actually gonna finally learn how to get into the P99 servers. I heard those are pretty fun too. They're really a lot more hardcore.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's a great way for me to just kind of go straight into it. I like I said, I really want to get into Quarm. I kind of feel bad that I just did like a couple streams on it
It's
and
all
kind of
good, yeah.
moved on. But like I just know like I've been craving that itch, which is Embers Adrift. Lucky he's been feeling that. But when we get done with the rating and stuff like that, when we get into like just basic upper Ibaxus and kind of getting through that content, oh, I'm definitely gonna be coming back to EQ and I'll give it a play that. Medicine. But yeah.
No worries.
But yeah, but it's yeah, we're definitely. I want to definitely get into EQ. But my first experience of EQ was thanks to you actually. Thanks for helping me get those add-ons.
Oh yeah,
which helped so much. It was such a profound experience because it was something I've been wanting to play for years now, like the original classic EQ to an extent with Quarm. But it was super fun. Like I just even get to level 5 as a druid, like just trying to go in as a wood elf and just trying to explore the stuff, talking to people. And it was like fun seeing the people that came into my stream. They were just like, "Oh yeah, I'm new to EQ" and stuff like that. And they were giving me tips, they were helping me out. Like it was a really like you talk about a profound, like it was a profound experience. And it's like I want more of this. I need more of this. Like this is cool. And I want to see more of these people online and stuff like that. So I will definitely be coming back to Quarm in the future.
I hear you. That's cool. I was just curious because, yeah, man, for me, it just no game really ever touched me that deeply, and it's got an amazing, really passionate community, and I just really love the community in EverQuest. So, I'm excited about EverQuest Legends. That's like a new one coming out. It's like a it's like a multi-classing server, I guess, kind of like similar to THJ. So they're doing something. There's so much interesting stuff coming out. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot to do out there and experience for sure. So
and I actually want to tap onto that actually with the THJ and stuff like that and the EverQuest Legends and or just mainly just EverQuest as a whole recently. I've been watching a lot of content creators. One of them was like Barthorn and what was the other EQ guy? Accost. I've been watching a lot of Accost recently too. When he does like I haven't seen Level Up Larry in a minute, but I haven't seen him in a minute. But I know Accost has been streaming some EQ and then Barthorn, but they're both EQ streamers. They do like a lot of like small man raids and or just raids. Mainly Barthorn does like a lot of small man raid content. But I've been seeing that. But I kind of want to see with EQ Legends. I know EQ Legends, like you said, with the THJ. Like I've known a decent amount about THJ because I've talked to a lot of people who played it. But I feel like EQ Legends are gonna if they just don't have the chrono, like the thing, they don't have all this extra crap.
Yeah.
If they just keep that away, oh my god, they can make the biggest comeback in history. And I know why they got rid of TSG, because it was such a big like deal. Uh, but at the same time, the fact that they brought it back into this, which people are actually using that argument now with Turtle Wow, it's kind of like a little kind of not really too much of a segue there, but since Blizzard won the thing, they're shutting down Turtle Wow like that. Now, I hopefully
Yeah.
things go all right with that, but people are like, oh, they've got to do Dune Gas Classic Plus now. So it's kind of funny seeing that, and then also seeing the legend stuff. They actually
Yeah.
made it, and they're just coming out with it. So I might actually try it out myself.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna be trying it myself. I've never really never really fleshed out classes, so it'd be nice to kind of get myself in there as someone who's new to like mix up like 3 classes and see what I can get my hands on there. You know, like see what I can do and just have some fun with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be fun for sure. Yeah, it'll be fun. And it just kind of goes to show you, people kind of do yearn for like these worlds that we all used to love, you know, because those games have like EverQuest Live now has changed so much. Like World of Warcraft has changed so much, but just that magical time in the beginning, you know, like that's what I think a lot of people really miss. And that's something you can never get back. So yeah. Anyway, what do you think about Pantheon? I wanted to ask you earlier. Were you a Pantheon backer as well, or like
$750? Yes,
oh, wow.
I was a Black Rose we call it backer, and I got the Black Rose package and all. I even spent my tax money on that. I got that in 2022. I still remember that. It was the best investment I've ever made in my goddamn life. Of course, I'm definitely gonna make some better ones. I already have a kid now, so I was like, that's way better than that.
Congrats.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he's turning 2 next month, and he's a clingy one. Pulls hair a lot and hits, but it's so adorable. I love him to death. But going back to Pantheon, that little baby right there too. Pantheon, in my opinion, and Pantheon, in my opinion, is like they are doing so good. In my opinion, they are doing so great. Problem is, it's that they're in that like the mount system. I saw the mounts, they added mounts to the game and stuff like that. I saw they added some extra stuff, which is not bad. Try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it does. You know, yay. But it's with Pantheon, I feel like they just are in that slow period because I haven't really heard too much of them besides the mastery, like them talking about the mastery system and stuff like that. And they're doing this big old wipe coming soon, which I will be coming back after that wipe. But when it comes to Pantheon, excuse me, I do apologize. When it comes to Pantheon, it is. I've heard so much throughout the years and of just good things. Like the fans are coming together, and so much bad things. It's just like, oh my god! Like the reason why I stopped playing Pantheon originally wasn't even the game. It wasn't the game that caused the issue. It wasn't like the dev said something or the devs released an update. It was I had to say this. It was the community. It was around a time when they just launched on Steam, and I of course it was when they went into the early access, and I was playing it during pre-alpha. Like I was playing that game. Well, yeah, it was pre-alpha. Yeah, pre-alpha and stuff like that. I was playing that game pre-alpha and everything. Like I remember the original mastery system. That was super fun. Like it was amazing. It was a great time. I still even remember. Oh, geez, the what was it? The 247 update.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, I don't know if you remember that or not, but jeez.
I vaguely remember that. And by the way, can I just say a huge shout out? We're doing a lot of shout outs here. Huge shout out to Nathan Napalm and Basgrim. But like Nathan Napalm kept the dream alive for me. Like over the years, I would watch Nathan and I was like, yes. And here's the thing, like I wasn't like looking into it that deep, but like huge Brad McQuaid fan, you know. So I was like, I'm gonna play this game. This is his vision. I would watch like the 2018 streams that he did, you know, and like back then the graphics were like a badass, like it looked cool, and I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is gonna be my game. I'm so fired up. But then I was just kind of, you know, like the game. Obviously, you know, Brad passed away. Rest in peace. He's a legend. He changed the way that I see the world, and you know, many others. EverQuest has had a huge impact on me. But I was like, I owe it to Brad to just kind of just give this a good try and just do it, you know. And then so when it came out in early access, I was like, all right, I'm going in. I'm gonna be a content creator. Like this is gonna be my game because I've had my YouTube channel for a little while, but it's kind of variety. Like I like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Like Project 1999. I was playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14, which is really beautiful. That's probably the MMO I've played the most, believe it or not. I love Final Fantasy, but like and then I was doing like anime, just like random stuff, and then I really honed in like when Pantheon came out. I was like, all right, this is gonna be it for me. But man, to be honest with you, and like it did grow on me because I played quite a bit. Whenever I first logged in, the graphics changed. I didn't like the art style. I didn't like the Unity stuff. To me, it just seems a little, generic. But then I actually like logged off probably like in less than 5 minutes. I was like, man, I don't know. But then I played with my buddy Kazrax, and the moment I got into a group, it was really fun. And then I met like Vendini and those guys, from Static Group Live. So they kind of took me around. They showed me some really cool stuff, showed me the dungeons, like it's really fun, and like I love the game. I just my personal opinion, like I just think it needs a little more. I think like the priority they need to prioritize like adding content, doing stuff. And I know that that's coming, and I know they're kind of I mean, you know how it is whenever you start and you kind of have they've had like deaths on the team, they've had setbacks with like I guess the engine of like how they were doing it. It was just like the scope of the game was too much, and they had to scale back. That's why like I respect Joppa. He's in a tough position.
Yeah,
like it's tough. But I want the game to succeed. I'm excited about it. I'm on a bit of a break right now, just because as a classic EverQuest player, I'm more into like Monsters and Memories, if I'm being honest, because that's like truer to EverQuest, whereas Pantheon is like more of like an evolution of all that stuff, like EverQuest 2 and like a lot of those systems, and it's great. I think they can both coexist, but that's just kind of my personal opinion, like because like for example, like the city Thronefast is not in yet, so they don't even have like a city. They have mounts in the game before there's other stuff, and it's like it's cool, but it's just like, why don't we like flesh out the world more, but there is cool stuff. Black Rose Keep, that Badia de Cara or whatever, that underwater zone or whatever, like that looks really cool, to be honest. So it's just, I love the game, I want it to succeed. I'm just kind of waiting a little bit, you know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I personally feel about it.
And that's the thing is that's a, let me just validate. It's 100% correct. That's the reason why I also stopped playing it. It was so the 247 was what the new art style.
I'm sorry, the 247. That was when they were going to do the extraction thing. Sorry, and then like I watched Nathan Napalm, Mr. C. Shout out to Mr. Cottleshire. I know he has like a whole thing about it, and I know that there was like an NDA regarding it, but a lot of people were like, "Fuck that, I'm going to talk about it." But I didn't really like look into it that much. But yeah, people are. I gotta say though, the fans. Brutal. You're right. Like sometimes the community, I feel like what I appreciate about the Static Group Live guys is they're very tough, but they're fair. Like they'll criticize it just as much as anyone. Like they'll tell you straight up, but but it comes from a place of love. Like they want the game to succeed. They're not just like shilling and just like eating up any kind of slop. Like they're very passionate and they want it to succeed. So I trust those guys' perspective and opinion. But anyway, sorry. Please continue about the 247.
I got the Static Group Live. They're God, I can't speak today. Their podcast, Pantheon Plus, is what actually got me into. I've been listening to them since like I think their 13th episode.
That's awesome, and they're going strong, like 200 episodes plus. Actually, they were kind enough to invite me one time, and I really appreciate it. So shout out to those guys, Drac, Daimlos,
Dude, fuck! I haven't been listening to them. That's one thing I was going to mention too. I have not listened to them. I think since they hit 205. I think so. I got a lot of them to like go back and listen to, like a lot of Pantheon. But I get all my main news from them.
Yeah, me too.
And I agree with you 100%. They offer proper criticism, and they honestly, in my opinion, besides like you and everybody else, like they besides like they bring like the content, like the podcasters who really hit with the with the what do you call it, the updated Pantheon content like constantly. Though I will say your monster memory videos are fucking god tier, dude. I am
Thanks,
keep
man.
up the great work for that.
I'm trying. I appreciate it.
You're doing amazing with that, please. But what happened was, it's with Pantheon doing the 247. Oh my god, that was I to say this is gonna be embarrassing to kind of say it too. I almost cried when I saw the first look because they lifted the NDA for Nathan. They got the permission to stream it. Yeah, they got the permission to show off the gameplay. It was a permission to show off the gameplay or something like that, and I remember watching it. And now I remember I was in the Discord when they had the big old Discord like show off things and stuff like that, and they were showing off the new art style, and I was like, okay, I was like, what the actual like. I'm trying to curse words too much,
okay.
but what the actual fuck was this? And I was like, at first that was my initial reaction. Then I was like, okay, maybe it'll grow on me. Maybe they'll fix it. They said they're gonna be changing up anyways. This is just the initial kind of like look. This is just beta, you know. Then they're like, oh, we're gonna release this extraction shooter. Might get more people into the game, and I'm like, no, guys. And everyone, every single person were like, guys, just release the game. Like, just release it like the 24-hour servers. And then we can like see where it goes from there. And I get the extraction was great. The one thing the one cool thing that came out of the extraction, like the 247, was the paladin class. They got that into the game. They got some of the other stuff, like some of the item systems and stuff like that I've probably gone now. But they got a lot of great systems into the game, and also a 24-hour server. They got that up and running. That was awesome. They were like, okay, we 247, we want to expand up because Joppa was, I remember he was like so like dug his heels into the ground, was like, yeah, I want to keep this going. I want to keep the extraction shooter going, extraction mode going, because I don't want this to fail. And everyone was like, please. And I still remember like he was so depressed. You could tell he was just tired. Everyone was just like, I remember Sav, she was like, you know, also with it, she's like, yeah, and this is a new update, guys. And I'm like, oh, this is so depressing. Just like, I almost wanted to cry, like on the couch, and it was just like, I never felt so. I mean, Pantheon was like the big passionate before Embers Adrift, so I was like die hard for that stuff. I was listening to every little information I can get, reading every little Discord post and everything. And
yeah,
I remember when they finally released the alpha, the alpha version of the game, they were like, hey, this is the alpha, kind of like early access-esque. It was the early access, it was the alpha early access before the actual early access for the game. And it was amazing. It was god tier. They actively went out of their way to get the game going. They had the 24-hour service, so we were able to hop on Pantheon anytime. I have my static groups going. Then they were like, hey, guess what, guys? When the NDA wasn't lifted yet, they were like, hey guys, at one point, you know what? Before the launch happens for the early access, NDA is just lifted. And I remember listening to the podcast. They said that stuff. But I like you said, like for you said the same thing. I got my streams ready. I had my layouts ready to go on Streamlabs. I was like, okay, let's go. I still remember telling my fiance, like, hey, like, I'm gonna buy a whole bunch of drinks. I'm gonna be on this game for hours. Expect me to be on for like 10 to 12 hours, like at most. And I was. And so I was so ready to play this. And I got in. It was the best time of my life. They released early access. It was the best freaking time. I was in that game deep. And then because it released on early access, a lot of the newer players and people who try and got from other MMOs came in. And that was great. It's great. We got all these people coming to the game. It was freaking awesome. The problem was it was just immediately became a toxic fest. And whether it be the old Pantheon that really, like, you know, not vocal Pantheon lovers who are like, oh, these people are coming in, they don't know nothing about this game and blah blah blah. Yeah. And then you got the newer players who are coming in, who are coming from these hardcore kind of play styles and these toxic kind of play styles, where they're just like, hey, unless you're playing this class and this class, you're not getting in because I'm trying to get that 3% parse. Like what the fuck are we parsing in a goddamn fucking old school alpha? So basically,
yeah,
like, stop.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. You know,
Is insane.
it's interesting. The
was
community
insane.
around that game, like the Reddit. Oh man, the Reddit is just almost like a punching bag for the game. It's just very.
Jesus.
There's a big negative sentiment. You know, I get it, but yeah, I just they're in a tough spot. You know, and anyway, yeah, I just interested in your perspective there. Yeah, it's
yeah, sorry about that. It's just that Pantheon was like a can of worms right there.
Oh no,
in a good way,
worries.
in a good way.
No worries.
But yeah, man. But they're hopefully doing better now.
Yeah, I think as the months go by and stuff, they'll add on more to it and whatnot. But what's your perspective on Monsters and Memories? Are you following that at all? Are you
loving it? Love it every second of it. Oh my god, Monsters and Memories is probably going to be not really my big obsession because I played a little bit of it. And it's super fun. Oh, Spellblade! I'm definitely gonna be making Spellblade when I get back into Monster Memories. I love what they're doing, and also I saw a lot of people hating on this too. They're like, "Oh, I don't like the fact that you have to win a code to get into the freaking what was it? Is it pre-alpha now? I think what is it or early access?
like beta access? Yeah.
Yeah. And so like people are complaining about. I'm like, guys,
I mean, it's coming out in a month.
Yeah, it's coming out in a month. And this is the best marketing move they've ever made, in my opinion, because like you got so many people clamoring at the gates, like, "Oh, please let me into the game, please."
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, clamoring at the gates.
Yeah, it's just that's how it is, and that's how even in Discord. Please, can I win, bro? Can I please? I've had people hop on my stream. Yeah, man, I entered in the code, man, for this stuff, and they make it sound like they're like terrible people, but it's really cool to see that, like, so much excitement for the game, and then the world. Your video showing off the world and like what this game has to offer, and like this is not an EQ clone. Holy crap! It's just like that. That was when I remember us having our not me and you, but people on my stream having a conversation like Monster Memories is not a clone, and like hearing I'm Not a Robot talk about the game, and just like it's like when Pantheon, and I don't want to bring Pantheon too hard in this one, but when Pantheon was like going through its like kind of harder phases and stuff like that, like kind of what it's going somewhat through now. People like it in the right way, and I'm gonna say this in the weirdest way possible, in the right way, clamored onto Monster Memories because they saw Pantheon, like you said, we had these problems like, okay, Pantheon's kind of going in a weird direction now. They're kind of like not really prioritizing things. And then you look at Monster Memories, they got most of their cities built. They got the one of the biggest things I love is the distance. Like you mentioned that distance,
I love
big old dungeon. I'm like, put this in Embers Adrift. Get that mana shield. Like I swear, like when I saw that, I was like, that way, it's the dungeon. Someone was like, yeah, it's a high-end dungeon. And I can see that. And they're like, yeah, you can see that. And the arts, and some people complain about the art style. Like, it's something like Aldrin Online. Like, they complain about like the voxel art style, but not Pantheon, Monsters Memories are like the old school, kind of like, but like pixelated-esque kind of style. I don't remember what they really call it, like the low polygon style. But they do it so freaking well. The sound design gives that older school feel. It's just like
I'm telling you, man, this is it for me. I feel like I've been waiting for something like this. Yeah, exactly.
And as someone who's never wanted to play EQ, like who like wants to go into play EQ a lot more, honestly, and I hate to say it like this, and I'm not trying to like crap on Quarm or anything like that, but holy crap! I think Monster Memories, like you said, like it definitely might be a game I will be playing a lot, and just learning the systems and learning the hardcoreness, like the fact you lose your abilities and you lose your art, you lose your spell book. Like I'm sorry, that makes that feel so much more impactful. And I know that sounds way too punishing because it is, but I think that's a good thing that to have systems like that. So imagine when kids are playing this, in which I honestly think the way the style of the game, the looks, the charm of it. As much as I hate to like, you know, kind of, I don't want to say hate. I don't know. Pause. There you go. The way that I see it is that this appeals not just the old school audience, but even the new school audience. I can see people like, hey, this game looks pretty cool. Let's try it out. Like, oh, this game looks pretty nice. And though the hardcoreness might draw some people off, I think this game might be the next key to the next generation of old school MMO game. I'm a really heavy quote on that one. Old school MMO gamers. Just the way how the game is just built, how it's accessible too. That's another thing. It's very accessible in the sense of like looks of like getting you into the game, this getting the charm. Until you get into the game, you're like, oh, this is not holding my hand. You have to read text. You have to go out of your way. But you get the idea. But
Yeah.
it's Monsters Memories. I think genuinely is going to be the next chapter of old school MMOs, and I think it's going to be maybe even the golden age. It's gonna bring in, if not show the world, the golden age of old school gaming. It's gonna be weird saying this, but when the game fully like is because successful, I can see like, and I'm saying this really with like a low drow, not trying to crap on any creators, but Asma Gold, I can see him coming in. Well, this game is going to be way too hard, blah blah blah. But like, you're gonna see those people are gonna be trying to get the view out of the games. But then you're gonna see
maybe I think. Do you know what actually? Sorry, hold your thought. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think Co Carnage will at least try it out. I think Kongen. There's like some big other World of Warcraft streamers, but I think Asman. I think he very publicly hates EverQuest. He hates anything like it. I think he's gonna take one look at it and be like, this looks like shit. I'm not gonna play that. But you never know. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Anything for them, it's like anything for the clicks. he might actually like the game and then be like, this game is ass. I don't like this. This game is ass. Guys, what do you guys think? Chat, what do you guys think? And it's like, oh Jesus.
But dude, I think this is a hot take. I've said this before. I feel like the handcrafted, like they hand paint the faces and like all the textures and stuff. It looks better than World of Warcraft did when it first came out. Like I will argue that. Like I personally think Monsters and Memories looks better. I'm just saying.
It does.
I've gotten flack for it before, but it's just my opinion, you know?
If you're getting flack for that, I mean, opinions would be opinions, to each their own. But at the same time, even I can agree with you, but because they did it in a style that's an art style compared to World of Warcraft, they have limitations, and that's the best way I always see it and stuff like that. Like this one's it's actively going back to that style to to make it because to really flush out its world, and they really added so much detail to it. Yeah, it does look way better than the original. And in my opinion, it really did a great job of really bringing that out. Compared to, like I said, World of Warcraft back in the day, 2004, limitations like a mug. Like, mind you, they also made seamless world in World of Warcraft too. That on top of that, which made the graphics a lot more reasonable at the time and stuff like that. But Monster Memories, they just so beautiful, dude. Sorry about that. I was like gushing over that game for a bit.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you said, I found home. That's going to be kind of my main game, and I'm going to branch out into like EverQuest and some of these others. And like I said, Embers Adrift it's on my radar as well. I don't have a whole lot of time to play like multiple MMOs like efficiently, but I do like the idea. Since the game is already out, I do like the idea of having like a little project I could kind of work on with my buddy Kazrax, which we don't get to see each other so much anymore, so it's kind of a fun way to kind of hang out in Discord and at least play. So
oh, nice.
And then maybe if you don't mind, maybe I can ask some questions along the way as I'm trying to kind of figure things out. But
you are my biggest thing is you are always open to questions, whether it be in the Embers Adrift Discord, head me up, message me personally. I don't care. As long as you have a question, I'm here to answer it. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find someone who has it.
Awesome.
I got you covered.
Thank you so much. And finally here, just because I had like a little note about it, Adrullan Online Adventures, any thoughts there? Kind of EverQuest inspired voxel MMO. It's pretty good as well.
I hate the stigma around the game. I hate the stigma around this game because it's voxel. I still remember when I first started, I streamed Aldrin a little bit.
Nice.
One of the devs came in, because they were coming into every streamer and be like, "Hey, how you liking the game, man?" Blah blah blah. And he said, out of all the creators that he talked to, I was the only one who ever recognized it for the actual term called voxel. Because every single person who played it, who was streaming at that time, were saying like, "Yeah, it's like it reminds me of Minecraft. It reminds me of Minecraft and stuff like that." Yeah. But I played Cube World, I played Minecraft, I played Trove Online, I played all these other games, so I understand, and especially with someone who's addicted to Cube World still a little bit. understand the art style of voxel. So for me, I appreciate it a lot when I first saw it and I first started playing it. It was fun. It was like this was a great little project that they're doing, and this turning into something really great that's like a charm of its own, you know. And the gameplay is freaking phenomenal. The classes are freaking phenomenal, and I think Ultra, if Pantheon, let's say worst case scenario, I really don't, I'm not saying this as an it should do this, but worst case scenario, if Pantheon ever fails, and I hope it doesn't, but if Pantheon fails, let's say they just like, hey, we're cutting our losses here. We did way too much. Thank you all for your decades of service. Um, I think Adrullan and Monster Movers are going to be freaking monsters in the gaming space after that because all the players are just going to funnel into that, and it's going to be insane. Now, I hope Embers Adrift gets a little trickle of that, but still, the point is, but it's going to be insane. But Aldrin Alliance gameplay, everything I mentioned about Monsters and Memories is just I can just copy and paste that over to Aldrin Online with just changing up from plastered little polygon to voxel to that. So yeah, that's probably the best way I can explain it.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for your perspective there. We're almost through it. I appreciate your time.
Always. Thank you.
I wanted to ask about your streaming kind of content creation journey. Like, how did you get into streaming and sort of content creation, and what has your streaming journey sort of been like so far? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, definitely. So my streaming journey started officially streaming when I was around the time I would say I was 15. Yeah, actually, yeah, because I was around the time I made the name Annoying Llama, and my dad got around the time he got an Xbox One, and I was playing lots of games, but one of the first games I really started streaming was Warframe. I used to be actually a really big Warframe streamer.
Oh, nice.
When I still have my original Warframe streams on my channel too, and I just a little kid streaming. I wanted to just kind of get into it. I thought it would be just an easier way to upload content. It really like a shortcut in my sense, but it was just something fun. It was fun to do. I wanted to have some fun. I still remember my dad made a rule is that I cannot swear on streams until I turned 16, which was a year off. I was like, damn. So I was like, I just like, what the frick? Ding. It's like I had to really like censor that. But it was funny because if it wasn't for my streams, I would not have been with my fiance because she is my little funny story. My fiance since high school, we've been together for 10 years now, since high school.
Oh wow.
But
Congrats.
she has been thank you. She has been watching my streams. She's actually my very first active follower actually on Twitch.
That's amazing.
And she went to the same school as we did, but she just kept trolling me a lot. She acted. Her first role on the channel was just being a troll. She just came in there, and every time I died in Warframe, because I did a lot of Warframe PvP when it first came out, every time I died, 1, died again, 2, died again, 3, and she just kept doing that and just messing with me on stream, and I ain't gonna lie, it pissed me off, but it was just like, it was nice. I was like, all right, cool. And then when we started dating, I still have our first our Minecraft stream, where she did that for my 17th birthday, and it was awesome. It was a really great time, and like because of her, because of her, I've got to where I am today. And I didn't really take streaming seriously until 2020 anyways, when I got my first PC. But before that, I was also a mobile game streamer. Also
Nice.
around the time when I turned 18, didn't have I had a laptop, couldn't really stream on there. So I became a mobile game streamer. I had an Omelette Arcade. It's sadly no longer a platform now, but Omelette Arcade at the time, I used to use that and streamed all of my games. I streamed like World of Kings online. It was what was it? Crusaders of Light. I was playing like all these other games, and I knew I had a really good shot at like the new age of doing this stuff, because a lot of people they followed me because they said, well, you're one of the few mobile gamers who actually like talk. And I was like, yeah, because I'm used to doing this on my Xbox when I was younger. So it was like that really helped me out. And then I got to like I said, 2020, got my first PC, and when I got that, it was just history from there. I just streamed a lot of WoW private servers. Ascension WoW is what got me to 1,000. And I started playing like Destiny 2. I started getting into all that stuff, and then Embers Adrift. When I started playing Embers Adrift, I started incorporating that to my streams more, and it just slowly but surely, I just kept making this. I kept just hitting milestones and stuff like that. I think
That's
now we're
awesome.
at 2.4K. So
Yeah.
it's just been an amazing journey. It's formed me as a person too, of talking to people, of just like, trying not to, be dumb, but also just be respectful. Like, just try to be the best you can to be respectful with people, talk to people, and just trying to put yourself out there in the content creator space. The another thing also, it's kind of made me more confident in myself when it comes to as a person, because when you make a name, I'm heavily quoting this heavily, when you make a name for yourself, just like, Annoying Llama as a thing, I made merch. It's like I hand draw all this stuff, got me into like my confidence in my art, and it got me also confidence of talking about it even outside, like, of like the streaming and stuff like at work, and when I talk to people, like when I talk about this stuff, like I've had more confidence in myself to like, hey, this can be a thing, this can be an actual like living thing for me. And the people I meet along the way, I'm just gonna, well, my goal is to, like, if I ever get big, it's not even the like, not forget from this game and stuff like that, but just big in general. I just want to bring everybody up with me. I just want to shout out every person I can. I want to get everybody, like, just, we're all playing games and stuff like that. I want to use this as a source to just bring people's spirits up, and just to, again, just bring people up, especially in these dark times. Like, bring people up.
Yeah.
And so, you do that. You do that already with your content, man. Like, you're bringing up, like, just through knowledge and through, like, your very smooth ass voice too. That does help a lot. And just like
Thanks,
this
man.
podcast that you're doing now,
Thanks.
man. Like, you're just having me on here, like, to spill the voice. That means so much. And it sounds so weird saying that, but like, I want to be like you, brother. But you're doing a great job, seriously, man. And this it's stuff like this I wanna do too, where just bring people up and stuff like that. So, rant aside, that's my streaming journey. So,
Oh man, thank you. That's very kind. That's very generous of you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I can tell. See, like, you're very community minded in general. Like, you look out for people. And I think streaming is like a good kind of environment for that, or ecosystem. You can kind of cultivate your own thing. I want to ask, does your fiance play as with you as well? Has she tried it? Is she a gamer? Do you try to include her in stuff, or?
oh yeah, I try to include her into stuff, but she's more of a Sims, Stardew Valley kind of person and stuff like that. And I trust me, I try to get her into MMOs.
I got you.
And she's just
Same
like,
same for me.
yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to So
I wish, dude, if she played like Embers or even just WoW or something, like maybe Monsters Memories or something, just get her into it. But yeah, she's been really busy. She's been kicking ass, taking names. So I big shout out to my fiance. I would not be even just doing this interview if it wasn't for her time and dedication and stuff like that. Just working together and stuff like that. And she's basically like my mod, even outside of streams. Like, she writes documents of like what I should do for my streams and stuff like that. And gives me a whole bunch of ideas, and like,
wow, that's awesome.
She's so involved. She's super involved. I forgot to mention that. She's super involved.
Man, that's awesome. Shout out to her. But yeah, is there so, like, let's say, what advice would you have to somebody that's new, that's just starting out? They want to be a content creator, they want to be a streamer. What are things that, like, new creators should avoid? What should they focus on? Let's say, like, a new game comes out, like Monsters and Memories, and I'm gonna make a channel, I'm gonna be a streamer. Like, what advice would you have, like, from everything you've kind of learned along the way so far?
So this is actually perfect, because I do this with my friends all the time. A lot of my friends are actually new streamers and stuff like that, and I actively work at a gas station, so this makes it a lot easier for me, like, meet cool people and stuff like that. And so this is actually a talk I have a lot. So one of my biggest advice I always give new people who want to get into content creation, especially in 2026, is get used to 0 viewers. That's the first thing you need to do. Get used to 0 viewers and learn how to honestly just talk to yourself. The reason why is that, and when you get to that point where you start streaming so much, it's that, especially with the current ecosystem with Twitch, and YouTube, and even when you're multi-streaming, it's that you're gonna get to that point where you're like, man, it's like two people on here. I'm not because people's heads they're thinking like Kai Cenat, they're thinking like these big old streamers like I'm trying to get a million and blah blah blah, but they're not realizing the
Yeah.
journey that people have to go. Just like these MMOs, it's a journey. You're not just again trying to get to the end game unless you play the game a lot. You're just trying to get the end game. It's a journey, and that's the one thing that these things are missing. So same thing with streaming. These people want instant gratification, but they never actually want the journey it takes just to even get to 100 freaking followers. Like it's insane. So I tell them, get used to 0 viewers. It happens. It's going to happen. It's for the rest of your career of streaming. It's going to happen at one point, but don't be discouraged by that. Be motivated. Like I said, talk to yourself. Learn how to create discussions for yourself. Something I'm still learning how to do as someone who's been doing this for a while. Like I still am learning how to like talk to myself, not have too much dead air. But that's your channel, your rules, type stuff. Another thing is create a name that defines you, that allows you to not separate the two. So like Slayheim and your real name, or for me, Atrill and Annoying Llama, like those are not two separate entities. These are not. If you see me in the real world, I'm same as Annoying Llama as I am an Atrill, and I'm the same dude no matter where you go. Where I go, I go to the grocery store. I'm still the same guy. Like if you do that, you start feeling a lot more confidence in your name, and that you don't attribute to like, oh, I have to change up my personality and stuff like that, and you don't get caught on some weird stuff. Like it's just you. And when you start feeling comfortable in yourself, you start learning how to love yourself, and you start learning how to express yourself. And people are there when they start seeing your stream, they're there for you. Most of the time, they're maybe sometimes for the game. Yeah, they seen the game because you're maybe good, or there's like the way you play the game, but at the end of the day, they're there for you. They like seeing you as a person. So when you start expressing yourself and start doing great things and stuff like that, whatever the heck you want to do with that, you I just learn how to just as in, express yourself and be yourself, and make that name that really ties it to you.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the last thing I probably have to say is when it comes to streaming, find either there's two ways to do it, and I always tell them like just do whatever you want. But how I always view it as two things, like you said, like a variety streamer where if you just want to stream like all these kind of games and stuff like that, just find what sticks, or just basically let people, hey, I'm just playing all these games, come join me, type 5. Or like for me, stick to like 1 or 2 or 3 games, maybe a genre of games,
Mhm.
and that becomes your thing. But figure out what you want to do for your channel, and figure out what games that apply to you, because that's the community you're going to be building around that, whether you like it or not. Even with just chatting, like you want a crowd that's just chatting with you. So
Yeah.
it's just I just tell them like that's just figure out what you want to go from there. Don't stress too much. In the meantime, good luck.
Man,
Good luck.
that's beautiful. That's very profound. Um, and then just like finally to sort of wrap up here, what makes you happy in life? What gives you joy?
And this is gonna sound really cheesy, but my happiness comes from other people's happiness, and my goal in life is to become a walking catalyst. And I learned this from Blue Note. It was like a Blue Note interview. The guy, this guy named Madlib used it on his album. I love jazz. He used it on an
Jazz is
album
cool.
called Hey, hell yeah. And so this guy Madlib used it on his Invasion of the Blue Note album. And there's a part where his guy's talking about the creation of Blue Note, and talked about one of the guy who created it was a walking catalyst. This concept of he doesn't matter, he doesn't talk about the big names, he doesn't talk about this. He just wants to get to know you as a person and what you can do essentially to bring into the music. And from there, like what was he said, like 99 or 95% of the albums out of the 1,000 that he got to produce, 95% of them were essentially like all of those artists were hits. Those are famous artists to this day. And so in my whole goal in life was like, what instead of like trying to become something great or famous or like that, I like to be that guy to be there for someone's life when they needed it, and they'll forget me like 5 years down the line, because I don't care about that. I don't want the recognition of me like, oh, I helped this person, blah blah blah. When they get big, I just wanted to make sure that people around me are good, they get their stuff together and they move on with their lives. And if they want to stick around, they can. You know, it's a fun wheel. It's a fun cycle of life. But it's becoming that walking catalyst and seeing others people's happiness, whether it be my advice or maybe it's something that was said in a conversation that just happened to flick something off in their mind. Just pointing them in the right direction, and that's all. Like that, I want to be that person in life. So that's what makes me happy, the fact that I can achieve upon those words and eat them. so that's my goal. It makes me happy.
Man, that's very beautiful. That's very profound.
No, thank you.
What's next for you? What are you kind of working on? Maybe like something that's coming down the pipeline. Where can people find you? What's your next thing you're hopeful about? I'm of course going to link all your stuff, but anything you want to plug?
I'm on YouTube and Twitch, Annoying Llama. It goes for Snapchat, Instagram, for the whole thing. Anything that is on there except Facebook. Anything that's on there. I am Annoying Llama on all those platforms. You can also even check out my music. I also like making music. For those who do not know, I sing a lot of like either sad boy music, but also I'm trying to do more opera because I sing opera naturally. So,
dude, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah. It was. I think it's Daimlos who sings. So Daimlos, I challenge you to opera off, sing off. And so he was probably gonna destroy me, but still the point is but the point is though, like check me out on Spotify, Atro Salazar. You can check me out there. That's where I make my music. I have more music coming soon for you guys. But in the meantime, also don't forget to play Embers Adrift. It's on Steam. It's $20. Have some fun. Yeah. Also check out Slayheim on stream Twitch and YouTube and wherever else you're at. So
thanks, man. That's very generous of you. And yeah, on top of all that, check out the merch as well.
Oh yeah, the merch.
It's really good.
Right.
It's really comfy. I'll probably wear this with Mr. C whenever we do it. Yeah. But yeah, I love it, man.
Dude, that'd be badass.
It's awesome. But dude,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think we got it.
We did it. Woo!
All right, dude. Yes, thank you, man.